Hi, welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, also known as a punk with toys or punk. Anyway, as you can see, I'm by myself once again, second week in a row, but it's not because I'm alone. I do have a guest, but this is another pre-recorded one. So if you're asking questions, if you're wondering why I'm not asking stuff that you put in the chat or you throw a super chat wanting me to ask a question, it's because this has already been done in the past. We're now in the future. Um, But anyway, this is how we had to do this one. I think it's going to be a really good one, as I think all of them are. But anyway, let's get to the guest and the lead designer for the G.I. Joe team, Mr. Lenny, also known as Weather Dominator on Instagram. That's okay for me to say that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, how I already said it, so
Yeah, yeah.
I've seen other people. So I mean, that's how I got to know you. So, how
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you know what? It's great. Like I said, this whole show, if anyone is tuning in, wondering what it's about, this is about getting to know people in my community. I don't want to say the punk community because the punk community, well, that's the circle jerks and bad religion and stuff like that.
I noticed that
My,
shirt. I love that shirt.
and they were here last year, so I had to go see them once again.
Oh, cool.
Um, I also got the little Super 7 guy up there.
Oh, that's awesome. I like all the band stuff they do. It's pretty cool. Like the little, I get the little Motorhead
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
the little reaction figure. It's sweet.
But if you're wondering what this is, we're not going to be talking about G.I. Joe Classified or anything like that. Maybe a little few things here and there. But this is getting to know people in the community. And Lenny's been very supportive. He likes different things on Instagram. He chats with me. Again, if you're nice to people, it's amazing how they'll treat you. So,
They'll say hello.
so
Yeah,
quickly before we do get started, I am going to ask you a question because there's been a lot of talk about this in the community.
sure.
And this is the new classified grunt that comes
Yep,
with the steel core head.
that's right.
He does say Graves on it,
Yeah,
but some people will argue that this is not an army builder because Grunt is a actual character. I'm going to ask you, did you give the steel core head to make him an army builder so he's not Grunt?
I did indeed. So,
Okay.
the way I looked at it was you can kind of paint over his name if you wanted to be getting to the nitty gritty, or you can just pop the helmet on him to make him into an army builder, or it's just Graves is wearing a steel core helmet. Like I kind of looked at him as like he's the top strategist, so like why wouldn't he have a steel core helmet? And
Okay.
it serves multiple purposes essentially.
Okay, so there it is. When someone argues with me, I can send them over. I can get a cheap view and pat myself on the back and say, "See, I was right," because you guys did say it on the stream that you
Yeah,
can
we
also
said it.
arm build.
Yeah, we say a lot of things, but most of the stuff we say is true.
You're starting crap there.
Yeah. You know what's true? I said most. All of it is true. Yeah, you got to watch everything you say. You know, could say
Yes,
second.
you do.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I do reviews and I get so many people, and it's okay. I mean, hey, if you want to, give me criticism or mention something that I made that I might have missed, I offer it. Like, hey, you know what, I missed something, let me know. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but anyway, let's get into who you are. This is really
Okay.
about you. So, do you mind me asking about what your age range is?
Yeah. I just turned 40 in June.
You're only 40.
I'm only 40.
Oh my god, I feel so old.
My beard is very white, and that's thanks to Transformers and G. I would always tell people it's Optimus Prime did this to my beard. I went white young. I worked on Transformers for years, and I would
Wow,
always.
I thought you were. I'm 40. I'll be 48 in December. I thought you were in my age range. So,
Oh,
well, it's good to have a young heart on the GI Joe team.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I love it since I'm a little tyke. So.
all right. So you're in your 40s, so it's still not a huge gap.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking, like, whereabouts you grew up?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in New Jersey, the center of New Jersey. I'm a 609 kid, so if you're from Jersey, you'll know we're the weirdos from the middle. It's kind of I guess suburban rural area. I moved there actually from Staten Island. My family moved there. We're originally from New York, very Italian New Yorkers. Moved to New Jersey, and it was kind of like a little bit of culture shock because I was like, wow, there are a lot of cornfields here. And it was kind of cool. I moved there about 12 years old, so it was really cool because you're going from kind of more of an urban light to like going to a more suburban area with rural, and like
Okay.
just having this like playing manhunt and like going on adventures in the woods and stuff like that. So for me at that age, it was awesome. Loved moving to New Jersey. So yeah, center of New Jersey area. Lived there till I was, I don't know, when did I go? When I moved to work, started working at Rhode Island, started working in Hasbro at 23. I think I started, maybe 22. So I lived
Okay.
there all up until there. I mean, I went to school at FIT, so I went back to New York for a little bit.
Okay.
But
We'll
yeah,
get there.
so New Jersey.
We'll get there.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
so I know you mentioned a couple. I know you mentioned on the stream before you grew up with at least one brother. How many siblings did you have?
Yep. I have a brother and two sisters.
Okay.
Yep.
So are the sisters older than you, or like?
Yeah. They're quite a bit. I have three moms.
Oh,
Because we're spaced. My brother and I are close in age. My sisters are close in age, but they're much older than us. So I kind of have they would watch us when we were younger, which was kind of
telling
cool.
you what to do. That's what
Yes,
younger
basically.
siblings love, being told what to do.
Oh, it's the best. Love it.
So if you're 40,
Mhm.
God, so that puts you in the age range, or well, you were born in 83.
Yeah.
All right. So, because I've heard you tell the story about like getting like a figure, but what toys, like as you start growing up, like what was like the first toys you really got into as a kid?
I would say from a memory is GI Joe. I remember going, like, I think I've told the story where, like, my dad would take me to KB and we'd pick up like two GI Joes. I would usually pick them based on like what looked cool, and then like my dad would read the file card to me, and I'm like, oh, that guy's awesome, I'll pick that guy up. But I think like I specifically remember picking up Battle Beasts when they're in a 3-pack. Do you guys remember that? Well, same like you guys.
See,
Remember. Do you remember Battle Beasts?
I do not, because I think I would have been out of it by then.
Yeah, you would have been skateboarding.
I would have been riding that skateboard, not caring about anything else.
I was like a little tyke, and I think Battle Beasts really resonated with me. And like I always I remember as a kid, I like wanted to I would draw them and all that sort of stuff. So I think GI Joe was the one that I always remember. Like I always was super into, like I would like beg my parents to take me to get them. But I'll never forget going to KB and getting my first like 3-pack of Battle Beasts, and it was like my mind was blown. It was like these barbarian cyber warrior dudes that are animals, and at the time I was probably like 4 or 5 years old, so like I very vividly remember holding the 3-pack like there's nothing cooler than this. I still have a couple of them floating around in my mess of my office, but
but for your age, like you would have missed like the whole Star Wars toy. I mean, obviously when you're Star Wars, and even like Motu, you would have been.
Yeah, they were like Master of the Universe was like in syndication, so we watched it, but it wasn't
Okay.
like it was like new episodes. We were watching it, and I had a couple of Master of the Universe stuff growing up. Not like crazy. I always appreciated it. I mean, it's like it looks like badass Conan. You know what I mean? Like sci-fi Conan, I should say. Conan is the badass version.
Well, if you
but
watch the Toys That Made Us, you find out it really was meant to be like Conan.
dude, that was such a cool episode. I love that episode.
They all were. Especially, this is off topic, and this is what happened. Yeah. The Lego one, I was like, I'm interested in Lego because I didn't realize how big they are.
Yeah. It's what a cool show, and it kind of shows how much the toy culture or toy industry is like. It's growing, and it's. When I first started in the industry, it was more like everything was very, very, very focused on kid, and how it's like the fact that there's a Netflix show that talks about toys and like how it's influencing culture at large. It's kind of wild to see it, like us as a culture changing and like accepting more stuff like that. Like I remember having to hide my GI Joes when I turned 12, and like my buddies would they'd be done with it, and I remember always like they'd be under my bed. I'd take them out and I'd like look at them. You know what I mean? Like when they come over, they did not know I still had them. You know, so
So, what other toys were the other toys that you gravitated to? Because you would have been like, I mean, that's TMNT right there. Like that's prime Turtles.
yeah, dude, I was a huge Turtles kid. Oh my god, I love the Turtles. So like, I'm trying to think of my favorite turtle. I love Mondo Gecko. Mondo Gecko is my favorite Ninja Turtle. I actually still have the Flower Child version in the basement. And every time I'm like, I wish I had the original punk rock version. That's the cooler version, but I got to go find one on eBay or something. But yeah, I love turtles, like, and Napoleon Bonafrog and like the whole crew. Like, it was like totally up my alley. Think about it. I saw Battle Beast when I was 4, and then I got Ninja Turtles, and it's like I was
Yeah.
completely hooked. And I love the mutant stuff in the toy line is where it was at, like because
Okay.
they would just go in with like Bullseye, that Red Bull with the cyber eye. I loved all like that crazy pushed design stuff as a kid. I still do.
See,
So I
that's
would say yeah,
like I would say we have totally different views on a lot of not views, but like different things we would gravitate to.
yeah, yeah.
But again, I love that. Like that's the type of stuff you're just like you see the turtles and you think of the mutants and different things like that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I like a design that, like, when you look at it, it kind of informs the story of the character, right? Like you look at it and it starts telling you things. They're like hints to like what this guy does, like with Bulls, like I think his name is Bullseye, or he's got the locator on his eye, and he's like
Yeah.
obviously a hunter of some sort, and he's a bull, so he's bright red, so it speaks that he's got rage. So it's like there's a lot of cool within those TMNT toys that like speak to what they do.
So as a kid, did you realize you were a pretty good artist as a kid?
Yeah, I would draw a lot as a kid, a
Okay.
lot. And as a kid, I was drawn to like drawn. I was drawn to drawing and sciences. So I was always kind of like into like a super into dinosaurs. Like I would draw, I would get like you guys. I'm saying like you guys like we're live. By the way,
Hey,
we're not live, everyone.
but you know, but you are going to be talking to all the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
that are
So
watching.
like my parents had gotten me the like the mail away books that come in, and it's like dinosaurs, and like this month it's iguanodon, this month it's allosaurus, and you would go through the book and it would tell you all about that dinosaur. And I would always try to redraw the illustration design, the illustrations of each dinosaur. And I would,
Okay.
like, that's how I would train myself. And I would, my sister at the time was she actually went to FIT as well, and she was doing fashion design, and I would always steal her Prismacolor markers. I'm sure there's some people on the that know what those are.
Well, there'll be some customizers for sure.
Yeah, they are expensive fashion design markers, and at the time were very expensive too. And I would always steal them and draw, and she'd get so mad at me because my sister's much older than me, and they get so mad, but then wouldn't get mad because I saw my love for drawing and creating and like just love the anatomy of dinosaurs. I think there's something about them. They're so utility in what they look like. And a lot of it too is like our imaginations are telling us what they do based on what they look like. And I think it kind of goes hand in hand of why I kind of netted out in toys. And I think why I like G.I. Joe so much too, because it's just so utility driven. Everybody's an archetype. It's everybody speaks to what they do, and as a designer, I love doing that. I like to put that sort of stuff
So
into.
even as a kid, like when you were looking at the toys you were buying, you were looking at how you could draw them and design them.
Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
I want to make stuff too. Like I used to my Joes. I quickly learned that you can unscrew the back and swap like crazy, and I would swap
Yeah.
my Joes like crazy. I mean, I remember. I don't know if I've ever said it on a live or not, but like I had burnt Tunnel Rat's arms off and then burnt somebody else's arms off, and then I grafted a different set of arms on because I didn't know how to get the pin out
Oh
of
wow.
the elbow pin. So, and I think I was super young too, maybe 8 years old when I was doing that. If my dad knew that I was in the basement soldering and burning plastic, it probably explains a lot, actually.
Zach, we never did that though. My best friend growing up, he was a great artist. Like I'd spend the night at his house. He would draw GI Joe, and he'd have like 20 pictures done, and I'm like finishing the first one, And I mean, it was like they were just very graphic. Zartan killing so and so, and the Crimson Twins. But we took, because we didn't like Dr. Mindbender, and we didn't like Sergeant Slaughter. So we took off the cape.
Yeah.
Put on Sergeant Slaughter's arms on Dr. Mindbender, and he became Dr. Mindslaughter. And he became
that's an awesome
our
name.
actual character. It is something that I thought about doing when I got classified ones, but Mindbender has such big arms anyway.
Yeah, he's yoked.
Like, is he doing sets while he's drilling my teeth? But I mean, it's funny because it took me a while to get them back together, because then I had to find the characters. But I'll still end up saying, "Oh, Dr. Mindslaughter." It's like, "Oh, wait a minute, that was our character," but we didn't have either one because we didn't care about either one of them. So
I think that's what's so cool about G.I. Joe is like it's always had a level of customization and like swapping out parts and stuff like that, and like it almost like Lego does, like it enthralls you because you can express your creativity through it, right? And I think G.I. Joe has an element of that too, with like swapping out parts and swapping out weapons and accessories, and backpacks can go on everybody and everything's modular. So the fact that you made Dr. Mindslaughter, first of all, I love that name.
It really just it flows like
Mindslaughter. Yeah. Metal.
He's got the big arms now. He doesn't have the little wimpy arms. He's got like the big arms now. No cape, because he didn't need a cape anymore.
He didn't need a cape. No capes. No capes.
That's it. No capes.
Yeah, but yeah, that's I think
I'm so glad you know that. I'm so glad you know that no capes.
No capes. No capes.
I love The Incredibles. No capes.
Great movie. Yeah.
All right, so as you're getting in your teens, as most of us do, I don't want to say most of us, because I found out a lot of guys that I've talked to never stopped collecting, or they kind of hid them. I always had mine out. As a skateboarder and a punk rocker, listen, I was going to be ridiculed, but I'm hanging out with skateboarders. So I would always have I have my original Tomahawk. It has a hole drilled through it. Same with my Night Raven. Yeah. I put a hook on it, and they hang from the ceiling.
Well, Joe's always look cool too. Like they're always been the big kid toy,
Oh yeah, and no one really cared because I wasn't playing with it. I think for me, I kind of got tired of playing with it, but I got into skateboarding. So as you start to grow out of toys, and you have all these turtles and your Joes and God knows what else, what did you gravitate towards?
I was super I skateboarded for a while actually. Yeah, I had an Alien Workshop deck. I loved Alien Workshop.
Everyone, when they say, "Oh, I skateboarded," they always say, "I had a Power Pro that had a Vision Streetwear," which, if you see my logo, it's the Vision Streetwear. The fact that you said Alien Workshop is awesome.
Oh, cool. I thought it was like, oh no, my poser.
No, to be honest, I never liked Alien Workshop.
Yeah.
But the fact that you didn't give the standard one that everyone had, like Vision, Powell.
I think I've always been I always gravitate to the art first before the creator or before the story. Yeah. Because for me, it's all about the art and the aesthetic of something. Like the shirt I'm wearing, actually, I think the artist is called God Machine, and I had seen it on Instagram. I was like, I need that. I just love the layout. And then I started learning, like, oh, God Machine is this particular illustrator. For me, it's always about, like, at the time, I must have been into aliens or something like that. So I was kind of gravitating towards the aesthetic. So yeah, I was into skateboarding for a while, and then I got into BMX for a while with my buddies in Jersey, because they were all on bikes. And what's that?
So funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
So this will be in the past, but do you remember the movie Rad?
Yeah, Rad Racing with the dancing scene on the bike.
So this Thursday, which for everyone watching will be last Thursday, my moderator Matthew and we will be talking on on Thursday Movie Flashback. We're going to be talking Rad. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's rad. That's very cool. That's kind of coincidental. It's pretty cool.
That is so cool. That's awesome.
We were all into that stuff, man. Like I got into BMX because I was a skateboarder kid when I moved from Staten Island to Jersey, and I couldn't keep up with everybody. So I think I had like a mongoose. I never got really good at it, to tell you the truth. I really just got it to keep up because all my buddies, they would make dirt jumps. Like that was the
Yes.
thing. They make these crazy dirt jumps with the tabletops on them. And we were getting crazy with it. We were going to like abandoned like construction sites and
Yep.
just dig. And we'd go there and dig all day long and make these ramps that if we had cell phones at the time, and our parents would have found out,
Oh,
it would have been hell to pay.
oh, if my dad knew how much wood we liberated from construction sites.
Yeah, yeah. But like, and how dangerous! Think about how dangerous we played when we were younger. You know what I mean? Like 20 feet in the air on a BMX bike because you just went up a dirt ramp. Like it's just
Yep.
like I would die if my kid did that. You know, but that's how you live and learn.
How you hope you live.
If you live. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I was super into all that stuff. And which was super fun. I never got really great at biking at BMX. Skateboarding I got okay with. I started getting bigger too, so like I was like not as I was heavy, so I wasn't as like light as the other kids. So like they're doing like these like crazy like what is it when you spin the bike underneath you and stuff like that. My buddy Dan was incredible, and like I was just like, yeah, I'm too heavy to do that.
One of my best friends growing up, big guy. He was good at skating, but we're talking like 15, 16, 17. He's 210 pounds solid. Like when we went in the pit, we followed him because he just bowled everyone over till we could get to it.
Yeah.
I watched that guy do one trick and watch the board just blow up into parts.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, dude, you just bought that. He's like, no.
That's actually
he did one trick.
Because what happens, you start grinding in the middle of the board. So like if you're over 200 pounds, over time, like there's weak points.
Yeah.
I would break them like crazy too. So it's just like, hey.
When I came back to skateboarding,
yeah.
I was 190, anywhere from 190 to 200, and I was snapping them like crazy.
Yeah.
Finally, the manager goes, "Why don't you try that board? They're meant not to break." And I've only broken one out of like, I think 10 of them or so. So,
oh wow,
which is good.
Yeah. What brand was that? Was it like double?
Oh no, this is now.
Oh, cool.
They have a carbon fiber insert. It's actually
that's smart. That's smart.
It has a carbon fiber insert in the middle. So if you land on like the tail and the nose, it holds it together. But if you land in the middle, it will collapse. That's how I broke the one.
Oh wow.
And Powell Peralta and Santa Cruz both have a carbon fiber board where they have 2 layers of carbon fiber.
Yeah.
And they're underneath the well, at least the bottom one is underneath. It's like a wood, then carbon fiber, then the wood plies, and the carbon fiber on top. Those things won't break.
That's awesome.
Like, they will not break.
My kiddo's been asking me to skateboard. Maybe I need one of those because now I'm very far exceeding 200 pounds.
I see some bigger guys pick it up in their 40s, and I'm like, you are nuts. I got back into it, but I knew how good I was and what my base was. But I watch guys in their 40s, and they're big guys, and they're just learning. And I'm like,
oh boy,
good for you.
Because it was hard as a kid. They can only picking it up when you've done it before. Oh my god,
falling is not feel good these days.
Getting scabs and stuff. Yeah, that's not. They don't heal as quickly. Nothing heals as quickly.
No. And you realize how hard concrete hurts.
You can imagine.
So you got into skateboarding, you got into BMX. Again, I started, started trying to ride BMX, but the skateboarding was just kind of gravitated. But when I look at the extreme sports, it's always been like those are the two. There are other ones, but those are the two that, in my opinion, are the real ones.
Yeah, they're accessible too. Like I get snowboarding, skiing, stuff like that. It's like a little more expensive to get into. So we didn't really get into that. But like BMX, like they're expensive if you get a good bike. But like you have that bike and you can take it everywhere. It's also utility. You can ride at the school. You can ride to your friends' houses. Like again, we lived there more rural New Jersey. I was like, I need to be able to ride to my friend's house when my dad doesn't want to drive me somewhere, right? Which was most of the time. Uh, so I needed a bike.
So how long? So did you do that through high? Did you just do that through high
Yeah,
school?
I did it. I did it freshman year of high school. I joined the
Okay.
football team in freshman year of high school.
So you're big. How big are you, like height wise?
I'm not very tall. I'm like 6 feet tall.
Listen, I'm 4. I'm 5'4". I'm 5'4". Don't tell me you're not that tall at 6 feet. All right.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sure if you said it to Emily too, she'd say the same thing. Don't say that.
Yeah, they were teasing us during PulseCon because like I was like in the middle of them, and it was like this weird like.
Well, we noticed.
It was cute. I thought it was cute.
I love it.
And when we met Dan, Dan's super tall too. It was like, oh, you're really tall, dude. Like,
you know what? Because I had already seen it then at PowerCon, and so I knew how tall he was, and I didn't realize it. And then I kind of laughed because knowing how tall he was and seeing you next to Emily and Tony, and especially seeing you next to Emily all the time, and even when she points out, like, I'm standing on a box right now, and then I see Dan, and I'm like, my God, Dan is like kind of looking down at Lenny.
Yeah, he's tall. He's a tall dude. It's interesting. Like on the internet, you don't notice how tall or somebody's stature. You can't really tell because we're like in a box or an Instagram photographs and stuff like that. It's like, but
that's how it is when I met people at PowerCon. Like, oh, I thought you were going to be taller, or I thought you were shorter.
Yeah. But yeah, so I played football all through high school. I played a little bit in college. It was super fun, and it was a great. I thought football was great because it helps kids kind of focus, I guess, if you would, right? Like, so it's like a lot of discipline, a lot of like team trusting people around you to do their job sort of deal. So I love playing football. My brother played football too. We actually were 2 years apart, so we got to play together for a little bit, which was super fun.
Now, is he older or younger?
He's older.
Okay.
Yeah, he's older than me. So, but yeah, so sports, sports was a big part of high school. Not like super jockey. It was funny too because I was like the hardcore kid who like played football. You know what I mean? So like hardcore punk and like I'm playing football, so it's like kind of had quite the duality to it, if you would.
I think it's more acceptable now, but I know growing up for us, there was one guy that played football who skateboarded.
Yeah.
He was huge, especially looking back then how big he seemed. So like whenever the jocks would get mad at us, we'd always be like, hey, so-and-so hangs out with us and he skateboards with us. And they instantly stop because he was one of the top football players.
Yeah.
So that was like our saving grace.
It's kind of, what's cool. You mentioned now, it's really cool to see like kids are like way more like, because I remember being like, I'm into hardcore, bro, or punk, and this is my clique, my scene. Nowadays, kids are like they're into everything, right? Yep. Like it's really interesting. Like they're so blended as like they'll like listen to like hip hop or metal or country, and they as long as it sounds good to them, they're with it. Like I remember being a kid, like, oh, we don't listen to country. That's lame. You know what I mean? Like
my son's a senior, and if he told people, I collect action figures, which he doesn't, but if he said that, I don't think you'd look down. I mean, there are obviously people that would make jokes at you, but I don't think you're going to get made fun of nearly as bad as.
Oh yeah,
in '94. If I said I collect action figures, it would be like, how old are you?
Yeah, it's completely different now. It's again like I think we were talking about it earlier before we went on, but
we didn't talk earlier.
Oh, that's right.
This is the first time we're meeting.
Yeah.
We just started talking. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, who's this guy? What's your name again? But like it's like you can see the culture changing and becoming more accepting, and like people are like, oh, that's what you're into. Tell me about it a little bit, right? It's like it almost like it's in everybody's different interests. It's a conversational point, which is super cool to see.
And I think with the explosiveness of all the Marvel movies, and I'd say DC movies, but let's be honest, they haven't really been good. But with that, it's like everyone likes Iron Man. Everyone likes Thor. So if you have an Iron Man figure, you're not getting made fun of anymore. And so if you end up with a one of these, these little plunderlings, You know,
I love Plunderlings, by the way. They're
aren't they
so good.
awesome? We're
Yeah.
gonna talk about some of the stuff you like later on.
Yeah.
But I don't think you get made fun of as much, and that's awesome because
Yeah, it's
you
cool.
shouldn't feel like you shouldn't feel like no matter if you say something, like or if you do something, especially as a kid, like you should be criticized for it.
Yeah, it's like it's almost less tribal in a weird way.
Yeah.
So.
Which don't get me wrong, I still like my group of friends that I had, and
Of course, it's funny. I'm
they
still friends with a lot of my friends from high school. It's great. And it's so exciting. Like even though I'm far away from them now, but it's like just like being able to pick up with them again and start chit chatting about stuff and be like, "You still collect toys?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, that's cool." Back then they'll be like, "You still collect toys, bro?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, they've changed.
oh man, I get that. You still skateboard? And it's like yes, and they're like,
"That's awesome."
Don't you think you're too old? And it's like, listen, I live once in my life, man. And if I'm in my 70s and I'm on a walker or a wheelchair, and I know that it's because of the years I put into skateboard and doing something I love, I can accept that.
Yeah.
Rather than the people that walk around their life not doing anything because they're like, I want to be able to walk when I'm 70. I may not be alive when I'm 70. So do what you love now if you can.
Yeah, I got hurt weightlifting, and doctor was like, "You can't weightlift anymore," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm cool. I'm going to continue to weightlift." But I watched it though. I didn't do certain workouts for a while. I did some stuff to my lower back. Some of my discs were a little bulged, so they had to heal. Right. So now I'm just a little more careful. That's all.
The mother of my kids has had 4 back surgeries, so I've watched backs, and I don't wish that on my worst enemy.
Back problems.
Yeah, I mean it's, and she still deals with it to this day, and so I feel bad for you, but you're right. Like if you love something, you have to modify it.
Yeah, you manage it, right? Like, and I think that's what's like you said, like you only get one shot, man. You might as well do cool stuff that you like.
Yeah. Until your body literally says, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. And then you get a new hobby.
And then it's like, all right. But if you can look back and go, you know what? I ollied big gaps. I did kickflips down steps. I mean, I ate shit a lot.
Yeah.
But I got back up and I never look back and be like, I regret this.
So when you go skating now, do you go to like parks and stuff? You like doing like, oh, cool.
Yeah. I haven't skated very much in the past year or so.
Mm-hmm.
We try and do every Wednesday. It's been kind of difficult the past few. For a while, when I got back, when my ex and I split up.
Yeah.
Way to make this about me. Thanks. You don't want to talk about it.
Flip the script.
I got really into it because I didn't want to date anyone. I didn't, you're going through that whole like custody battle, and I got to focus on me and my kids. And I was just going to the skate park. It's an indoor skate park. I just bought a year membership, so I can go anywhere, or I can go anytime that they're open. And my buddy rides for the team, so I got to know the owners and all the employees. So I'm skating after hours. I really learned how to skate they have a 3.5-foot mini, and it's, I want to say 34 feet wide, so it's huge.
Wow.
Now, I could do tricks on a mini, on a mini half pipe. I didn't know how to skate it. And my buddy taught me how to skate it.
Yeah.
And then you're skating the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I go to like outdoor parks around here. I skate small rails that are there, little mani pads, little ledges. But there's a lot of things I'm like, I'm going to go out and do this. And then I step on that board and it's like, my body quickly goes, hey,
not today. I do that. Dude, first of all, it's got to be sick to like just like ride in like those crazy rails and stuff. It's got to be in like exhilarating.
I love it. Like I mean, I could expect like the mini half, like I could do like 50-50 grinds and board slides all day and just have a blast doing it. But when I get outside on the street, like when you learn how to skate mini or a ramp in general, it's easier on the body once you know how to ride it and run stuff out.
Yeah.
Where I was always a street skater.
Yeah.
And I've taken a few hard slams over the past 8 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm gonna wake up hurting tomorrow.
Yeah. And now your body's like, not today, buddy. I'm like, we'll do that. Yeah. Maybe not today.
But it's
That's
something I love doing. I mean,
yeah.
I can't explain it. To me, you know, and I've said this before, I tell people, I go, other than my kids, it is the most joy in my life that I've ever had.
That's cool, man. That's
Toys,
living. That's living.
lifting,
When you
anything.
love, you're living.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
You know, and it's like I could, if I go down that rabbit hole watching skate videos, I will be up till 4 o'clock in the morning going, oh, I need to work in an hour.
That's sick,
All
man.
right. It's enough about me.
Like how I flip that on you.
So, did you get big time into sports, or did you just kind of play football because you had the size and?
I got big time. I mean, like I played all through high school. I was captain of my football team in high school, junior, senior year, which was pretty cool. A lot of
We're at homecoming court.
I was nominated for homecoming, and it was weird because there was it was a crazy. I'm trying to remember what happened. There was like a to do with that. Oh, I was in the game, and my coach was hardcore, and we didn't have a really good my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. Not really good records. If you look up my high school, not very good records. But our senior year, we were doing really well, and my classmates wanted me to come out on the field. He goes, "You can't go on the field. We're doing strategy." It was a big game. It was homecoming game, and he was like, wouldn't let me go out and celebrate and do like all that homecoming stuff because my head needed to be in the game. He was hardcore, man. I kind of love that though. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want anything to do with that homecoming king crap. Like I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I really didn't. But like it was kind of awesome that he was like, no, stay focused, and I'm like, yeah. Like I was like a little like, let's go, like, you know.
So you weren't homecoming king.
No, I don't think I was. I can't remember if I was or not. I'm getting old now, so
that would have been awesome had you like the Starscream crown and the cape right before Galvatron shows up. Coronation.
Oh, dude. That scene is so good when Galvatron turns into the tank and just murks him. Like
I saw that in the movie theater with a friend of mine.
Dude, we got to see different stuff as kids, you know?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like I look back at that, it's like that's something I saw in the movie theater.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say this, because this is not about me, but when I found out that the reason why Duke didn't get killed, and I did not like Duke, I still don't like Duke to this day.
Oh, really?
I just don't like Duke. Yeah.
Okay.
To find out that because they killed Optimus Prime and everyone threw a fit about it, they were like, all right, we can't kill Duke off.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that at work, and I was like, that tracks. That totally tracks.
Yeah.
Like, because you think about it, like, you got to, like, strategically, like, play that out. You're like, ooh, that could cause a lot of problems later on.
And you can bring robots back, but you can't really just bring back a human. So
especially if you take a snake javelin to the chest, that's intense, man.
And I've also mentioned that really with your Serpentor that you guys did, you should have had just a base buck that you had the serpent spear and a buck going through Duke.
Oh, like straight up, like
right through him,
like an arrow, like, you know, like the arrow things for your head that you put on.
Yes,
that's doable. That's doable.
All right, so
yeah, so sports. So yeah, I played in high school, and then I played about a year and a half in college. Was super fun. I got to play with my brother. We both went to the same college together.
Oh, that's cool.
What's cool is I was an outside linebacker, and my brother was a offensive tackle. So in college, we'd have to drill together. So like you can imagine the hoot and hollering that would go on, and they would go, yeah. They would call us the Zika boys, and they would get him Zeke, and it was just like who are they cheering for? You know what I mean? So. And Joe's a badass. My brother's a badass, man. I love my brother. He's tough as nails. And I would just be like, I have to go up against Joe right now. He's gonna beat the shit out of me. Because my brother at the time, he's 2 years older than me, remember? So he's like, and he was captain of the team in college.
Okay.
So he's like, I have to lay into my brother. Like, I have to kick the shit out of him. And he would.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But I only did it for about a year and a half in college because I had known that I wanted to go into illustration and design. So I had to switch schools.
So where were you playing at in college?
William Patterson's Division III, nothing crazy.
Hey,
But it was
listen,
like,
hey, I say the same thing about skateboarding. I was never pro. No one was giving me free stuff, but I loved it, man. So
yeah,
maybe you got to play, you know.
100%. The college it offered what I wanted to do at the time. And it had a football team, and my brother was there too. So I was like, this is a win-win. And it's in New Jersey too, so I could drive there. We dormed, but I could drive home. It was like super convenient for my family. So it was awesome. But I kind of saw that, like, I was like, I at heart am an illustrator. I mean, I'd always been drawing, like,
Yeah.
never stopped drawing. I would always draw on the margin of my schoolwork. Always coming up with character designs and little short stories and stuff like that. So my sister, who's a fashion designer, I mentioned her earlier, she was like, you should go into toy design because, like, all your creations could be made into plastic. They could be, like, for immortalizing, what she was saying to me. And I was like, that sounds incredible, right? Like, all these, like, character designs I'm doing, but, like, actually tangible things. And I think that kind of, like, that got me. So then I was like, all right, stop everything. I'm going back to, like, my first love, which is art. And I kind of just, focused on getting that portfolio together. It's kind of a bummer because, like, I had done a year of football and then I did camp. And then after camp, before the season started, I was like, I'm switching out of schools. So it's like I did all this camp and then I didn't play the season. So it's like I got beat the shit out of myself for a summer, and then it was just like, all right, time to move on.
It's like doing preseason football, and then I'm gonna retire.
Yeah, it's what it kind of was, and I felt bad because, like, the like I said with high school football, the friendships you form with any sport, in football in particular, it's like you're in the mud with people. You know what I mean? Like I felt so like bad because I was like, I become so close to these guys, but I had to move. I saw my calling and I had to move on. It was time to kind of.
Yeah, and that's a little different. You're not just quitting. You're saying, hey, I'm moving on to try and do something else. I'm not really quitting on you guys.
Yeah, and that's hard for me too because I hate kind of like not follow. Again, at the time I saw this not following through, but as I got older, I'm like, oh no, I was moving on to my next chapter, which was interesting. And I was like, oh, I was actually like, wow, I had some foresight when I was a kid. I thought I was more of a dingbat when I was younger. You know what I mean? But apparently I knew what I wanted, So, so that's my sports career, if you would.
So during this time of playing football through high school and even to college, were you collecting toys? Because that would have been what? Would that have been early 2000s?
Yeah. So in college, I didn't collect toys. I had no money. So no toys in college. And I'd say I collected Joes up until I was about 11 or 12. And I kept the ones that I had, and I wouldn't go buy new ones. And I love Jurassic Park too. So I would buy a lot of Jurassic Park. When we moved from Staten Island to New Jersey, my mom made me give all my Ninja Turtles away. She's like, those are the baby toys, but you can keep the G.I. Joes. So I kept, what's that?
Do you mention that to your mom now? Like, you made me get rid of the original.
Yeah, I do. I busted chops. But she's like, what?
Yeah, they don't care. They're like, she's like, what do you garage sale anyway? Like,
I'm like, you made me give him to Anthony down the block. I gave him because I had, remember the Ninja, I don't know if you remember, Ninja Turtle had this awesome case. It was like those weird cardboard and plastic cases with the latches on, all the graphics on them.
Somewhat.
Figure slots. I'm so sick. And I gave the whole thing to him. And like, I think about that every once in a while. And I'm like, man, those are so good. But
that's what I'm here to do. Bring up old hurtful memory.
I should bust my mom's chopsticks when I'm home. You're ready to get my turtles away, bah. But no, I think I collected as much as I could. When I moved to New Jersey, a lot of friends were into Star Wars. So I would still buy figures with them when we'd go hang out or get dropped off at the mall. I'd pick up like a Jurassic Park toy or like whatever like would vibrate with me. I'd pick up a toy, but I wasn't a hardcore collector.
Okay.
Again, I was playing a lot of sports and stuff, so I didn't have an after school job. So it was like, I didn't have a lot of spending cash. It was all like sports. You know what I mean? And drawing on my free time, right? So it wasn't a lot of like spending a lot of money.
So was football the only thing you played?
I played football and I did wrestling for a year. Wrestling was cool. They wanted me to cut weight, I remember, and I wanted to get big. I was like, I want to get big. They're like, but we want you to drop down into a different bracket, and I was like, no. And then they were like really hardcore about it. Our wrestling team at my high school, I don't know if I should say names of high schools, was really good, and so and they were hardcore about it. I'm like, I don't want to cut weight. So I did it for about a year. I thought it was cool. And then just kind of really on the off season, I would just do track instead. So I did track to kind of stay fit and weightlift throughout the year. And then I played football.
So you're doing football. You're trying to wrestle, but they want you to cut weight. You're like, no. So you went and did track.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the biggest track guy out there, right?
No, there's some big guys. The shot put kids are huge. I'm not.
Oh, you know what? I don't think of that as track. When I think of track, I think of like the hurdles and the 100-yard dash.
Yeah, I would do. I would do like the football sprinter stuff. Like I would do 100 and 200. I was terrible at shot put. I can't throw. I was terrible at shot put. Discus I was okay at, but like I was like, why can't I throw? Like my brother can throw. He's a beast. That kid he can hurl a shot put and like he can throw a rocket. I just couldn't. I don't know if I have the motor skills for it or something.
You have to save those precious hands to draw some G.I. Joe figures.
Yo Joes. My nephew calls them G Joes. It's the coolest thing in the world. He's a little guy, and I don't think he knows I make them. And I just kind of bring them. I'm like, here you go, buddy. And he goes, G Joes. And I was asking my sister-in-law, like, what's his favorite one? She goes, Major Blood.
You know, we were just talking to someone about that. It's like, that's still one of the best ones.
I love him. He came out.
I think that was the first great figure you did. And I think Destro was awesome. But Major Blood, it was like, it's the modern, quality. But the
quality, the factor he's able to hit on that figure, it was insane. That was the first one Tony came in on, actually.
Okay.
So it's like getting to work with your best buddy, you know what I mean, and on a really cool character, you know. So, but that one when he came in, it was just like, oh, it was just like he looks so good. They got the unshavenness right. The inkjet was like spot on. But he came out good. I'm really pumped about that figure. Designing that arm was super fun to do. Now I'm talking about too much work stuff. Sorry.
No, no, I think people like to hear the passion, especially for, G.I. Joe. So you go to what school did you end up going to?
FIT. So I was at William Patterson, and then I transferred to FIT. Yeah.
So what is FIT?
Fashion Institute of Technology. So at that school, they actually have a toy design program. So my sister.
Isn't there only like 2 toy design programs in?
That's right. Yeah. Technically, there's 3 in the world. I don't know because there's Otis. The Otis school has one, and I think they were formed by some people who went to the toy design program in Manhattan. The chairwoman of the program had like taught them, and they brought it over to Otis when they moved to California. And then I believe there's one in Italy too, but I don't know the name. I'm not like the crazy like know all the colleges kind of guy. It was funny. I was at a family. I was at a wedding. And everybody's talking about the colleges, and they all know the different colleges if they didn't go there. And I'm like, I don't know any of that stuff. So I don't know all the different schools. I'm terrible with it. But anyways, yeah, there's 3 hardcore toy design programs in the world: Otis, FIT, and I believe Italy, if it still exists, was what we were.
And Otis is in California, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right. And a lot of good friends had gone there. Again, the industry's such a small world. But yeah, so I went to FIT for toy design, and specifically, I had changed my majors at William Patterson to illustration to get my prerequisites for the toy design degree, which is an illustration degree focused on toy development and child development. So a lot of focus on like fine motor skills, psychology, marketing, like how to like design a toy with the marketing message in mind.
Okay.
So it was like very much like teaching you, if you're going to make a toy, this is how you do it. It's not just a pretty picture. Sort of.
So what years did you go there, and how long were you there for?
That's a 2-year program.
Okay.
But it's 2 years, but it's all year round. So like there's no break. I think we have like if I remember, we would always complain about how intense it was. It was so intense. You can get kicked out of it too if you weren't good enough. We were always afraid we were getting kicked. I'm like, I'm paying for this. I can get kicked out of this. But they were hardcore about it. I find myself in all these hardcore situations for some reason. Yeah. So it was a great program. Learned a lot. It was intense. It was a lot at once. And it was great. I met a lot of really good friends there. Again, we were in studio all the time with each other. So it was really cool to kind of like, again, I got that like football group mentality again going on, like meeting these people I'm going to be close with for the rest of my life, which was really cool. But yeah, so I did that. I'm kind of losing track of the story I was giving.
why ask how long you were there for and what years you were there?
Yeah, it was 2 years. And I did my internship at Fisher Price, which was really cool. So we would have an intern program there.
So what year did you intern at Fisher Price?
Oh, that's right. We were asking the years.
Yes.
Let's see. When I was in school, Sigma 6 had just come out. And we were all just like, what are these? They're incredible. So was that 2005? 2006 maybe? Yeah, 2005, 2006.
So if Justin Bell from General Joe's is watching this for some reason, he just got all happy because he loves the Sigma 6.
They were so cool because I think they were a toy with collector brain designers making them. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think when I was in a toy design program, we were in awe of all the gear they came with, their attachable parts and pieces.
What year was that? Because I remember them, but
it would have been 2005, I think. It's so funny. I can't remember when I went to school. 2005, 2006. I think I started at Hasbro 2007. If I remember correctly.
I just hear 2000 and I'm like, 2000 is not that long ago, and you're like, oh wait a minute,
yeah, it was
almost 24
yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God, it was almost 24 years ago. I'm old.
Yeah, which is nuts to think about. Oh my God, and it's funny. I think about it too. 24 years ago. So in between college and FIT, while I was getting my prerequisites and all that, I always like to tell the story. I worked at a cemetery for a while.
Really?
Pretty awesome. Yeah, it was wild.
Pallbearer?
No. We were digging them. We were digging the graves. Yeah. And I was in a metal band. My brother, my drummer, my brother was a lead guitarist. I was the singer, and my drummer, we all worked there, which was pretty funny.
Oh, tell me there's an album. Tell me you have songs out there on the
internet. We do. We have some. I hated the name of our band. I hated it. It's called Common Ground because we couldn't come to a name for the band.
That's awesome.
My drummer was like, we need to come to a common ground. And then my bassist was like, that's the name, because he was fed up, because my drummer and I were always at odds. He was more emo and I was more hardcore kid than him, so we would always like be at odds of like so he would always wanted things a little more emotional. I'm like, we gotta make the pit, bro. We gotta do the breakdown. You gotta get the iron coat, because like he thought for the longest time he was gonna play double bass with a single bass pedal. He was an incredible drummer. This kid was a beast. But he was hard-headed, and that's why I love him so much. He thought he was going to play double bass with one pedal. I don't know why I'm going to the story, but then my brother and I got him the double bass.
This is the type of stuff that I want to hear. Like, so when were you in this metal band?
In college.
Knocking your figures over. You need to make better figures that stand, that my elbows can handle it.
Yeah.
I can handle my elbows.
Yeah. You're clearing the pit. You know what I mean?
That's except I'm hitting everyone in the stomach because I'm so short.
Yeah. It was probably through my brother and I started it in was it after high school? So my brother was in a band called True Temper. Now that's a cool name. Uh, they were in a band called True Temper. They had broken up, and he was in the band with the drummer. And he wanted the drummer and my brother wanted to start it back up. And I was always into like hardcore. We would listen to a lot of, I don't know if people know Candiria and like
I know the
E-Town
name.
Concrete, like a lot of that Jersey hardcore scene stuff.
Okay.
And I was into it, and I was like screaming and singing and stuff. So they're like, "Lenny, you should be the singer." And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." So it was super fun to do. It helped. I think it helped because I was very the stage fright stuff was really crazy for me, but it was good. I think it was good for me to learn to like present myself. Um, but so we did that in college. That's right. In college, they had reformed the band because they had the band in high school, my brother and the drummer. And then in college, we were in it. And then through toy design, I was in it. I wasn't supposed to do that because how crazy, how tough the program was there. Like they wanted you to have no outside programs that you did, and a band was included in that.
Oh, come on.
So I had to prove that I could do both at the same time. So I remember in school, I would make sure I get all my work done as fast as possible, so I have time for rehearsal on Saturdays and Sundays, and then I'd have time so we can book shows during the week. So I would make sure all my stuff was buttoned up, make sure it was always like everything was together, so I can go do my band because I loved my band. I love writing music. So yeah, we did that.
I love the name. I love the name. I think
it's like Common Ground.
It is a total hardcore band, and that is a total hardcore name.
Yeah, kind of. I guess you're right.
But you said you were more like metal.
Yeah, we were. So it was funny. Our influences, like as a kid, I loved like I got into a lot of like Poison the Well and From Autumn to Ashes and stuff, which was really cool. I always also, I mean, I loved Priest. I mean, I love Dio. I love all the old school like metal stuff and Motorhead and all that. But I really got into like that like post-hardcore scene. So I was super into that. My brother loved like Alice in Chains riffs and stuff like that, but he also loved hardcore. So and then my drummer was more into emo and hardcore. And then our bassist was like me. He was more into hardcore. He liked going to circle pits and like going to like, you know, the gymnastic pits, as people like to call them, like swinging rails and like seeing whatever moves you can do. But so we blended, right? So like, and I think at the time the term was called screamo, if I remember correctly. So we kind of like a screamo band with heavy hardcore influences. And my brother loved playing jazz guitar, so then he would go into a lot of really cool jazz solos.
Wow.
Yeah, so we would do like a breakdown, and the breakdown would then lead into like a jazz solo, which makes sense. Like E-Town Concrete was like that. They had a lot of like kind of jazz influence. Or like God Forbid. I don't know if anybody's in the God Forbid. God Forbid was sick.
I wasn't into them, but I know them.
Yeah, they were so good. They had a couple of names too. I remember I first saw them. I think they were called Clubber Lang or something, and they changed it to God. I'm like, God Forbid. Now that's a metal name. That's a metal band. God Forbid. That's a good name. But yeah, so we did that, and it was fun, and we all worked at a cemetery. That's the thing.
So you all worked at the cemetery together.
Yeah, except for our bassist, he was a mechanic, so he funded.
So you're basically probably like digging or doing whatever you're doing, brainstorming where you're gonna play.
Yeah, we talk about stuff like that. It was funny because my drummer worked there full time, and my brother and I were we were a seasonal work. So basically, during college, when we didn't have classes or we were off for the like whatever break, we would work there. I ended up working there for a full year when I was transitioning schools, right? So I was like, taking some classes, and I was like, I need a job, so I worked there all year round. But our job was like, it was a veterans memorial. So when you go there, it's more like a park. So there's like 27,000 graves in there, and they're not headstones; they're plaques.
Yes.
And I was the one of the groundskeepers. So I was like on the 0 degree turn lawnmowers, the coolest lawnmowers there ever was, mowing the lawns. And then when the backhoe driver would come in, we would help direct him dig the grave, and then we would have to put down 2x4s, plywood, so that he wouldn't crush anything. So we would help prep him so that he can come in there and dig, and then we'd clean it up. It was all the characters there were so cool. There was Walt the Vault guy, because when you have that many, when you have that many graves, you have to fill the ground. So they would put a concrete vault into the ground,
Yes.
and then the casket gets put into that. So Walt the Vault guy he was awesome. He must have been 75 at the time, still doing it. Really gruff, kind of like this kind of guy. He's so cool, dude. He had his forearms, man. They were like he looked like a dwarven warrior from like D&D. He was awesome. He was like, I love Walt the Vault. But so many cool characters there. One guy used to play harmonica in the backhoe when he was on break, and he was just Coop. His name, we used to call him Coop, and he would play the harmonica and wear these sunglasses all the time. It was like a cartoon. It was so cool.
I'm just gonna say this right now. If anyone's watching, hopefully there are people watching. Well, not right now because it's being recorded. You're not gonna get other talk from Lenny like this anywhere else, have you talked about your days of working in a cemetery?
No, you're bringing it out of me.
But we gotta get. How long did you do the band for?
Let's see. It would have been when I started at William Patterson. That was the college I went to. It was probably 7 years we did that for. Because I did it through school. Did it through FIT. And then, we all started getting jobs. People started getting married and stuff like that. So we just couldn't do it anymore. It was too much. You got to kind of grow up and through. Because, we always we're going to get a record deal. We're going to get a record deal, and you always keep that there. If it happens or not, maybe, but it would be cool. We did it for a while. It was super fun, man. My drummer's girlfriend used to book all of our shows, which was super cool. When she stopped doing that, we started getting less shows. So we're like, we need you to book our shows again. We're a bunch of idiot artists. You know what I mean? It's we're terrible at doing that stuff. But it was cool. The Jersey scene too. We played at a place called Birch Hill. We would open up for a lot of bands From On the Ashes. We opened for Seven Dust once, which was kind of crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then they booked us with Chevelle, and I was like, it's not really our vibe, but we're like, people will see us, so we were game for whatever. But that was fun to do, man. I think about it every once in a while. I was like, that was super fun.
I got a lot of friends that are they've been in bands. They're still musicians. They still play. And it's like one kid I grew up with. He's younger than me. I think he's in his early 40s. So when I started skating with him, he was really young. He never really got into it like I did, but as I kind of started doing my own thing, he really got into music, and he started he got in a band. And then years later, I'm at a guy's party, and there's a brother of another kid I went to school with who was friends with him, and he's like, yeah, Wedge is in a band, right? And I was like, I kind of heard. He's like, oh yeah, he travels all over and everything. He's like, I went up to him and I was like, hey Wedge, what's up? And all these guys kind of jumped in front of me, and Matt was like, oh no, dude, I know, it's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So him and I reconnected because, he was in a band. Well, he's in another band now, but so I was going to all the shows because it was like Bad Religion, Pennywise type punk. That's what they wanted to do.
The good punk.
Yeah, and
really?
His the bass. It was actually the bassist band, and I was talking to him because I'm friends with the bassist too through my buddy. Yeah. And he's like, I've had those songs since the 90s, and one day I started pulling them out, and I was like, these are actually pretty good.
Oh, cool.
And so they started playing. They put out an album. They played for quite some time, but then the pandemic hit.
Oh yeah.
And they kind of got to the point where it's like, all right. Yeah. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, and the singer was like,
it's such a social thing. I remember, and I think back to how much I loved it because it was we had to go out and sell our own tickets, pedal all that, and then you'd play, and then then you would meet a lot of people, and you were doing it social. You have to coordinate with people to sound in time with each other. So I can imagine the pandemic doing some damage too.
Yeah, but what was funny is that when I talk to these guys, and do you know who the Suicide Machines are?
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
They're out of Detroit. They're pretty big. If you look, they used to
Yeah.
be Jack Kevorkian in the Suicide Machines. And if you
Okay.
remember Jack Kevorkian, he was Dr. Death.
Yeah.
He was the guy that assisted suicide.
Yeah.
So he did assisted suicide. Not Dr. Death, the guy that was killing people doing back surgeries.
Yeah, I know you're talking Kevorkian.
Yeah.
Kevorkian.
Yeah, so Kevorkian,
line or whatever.
yeah, they were originally Jack Kevorkian, the Suicide Machine, but then they got a cease and desist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so they dropped to Jack Kevorkian. So every now and then, it'll pop up, say Jack Kevorkian. A matter of fact, Tony Hawk was at the Skateboard Museum, and my buddy Jay, he's the singer, he was like, dude, there's a Jack Kevorkian album in the background of Tony Hawk at the Skateboard Museum. You know, so it's like cool, like,
yeah,
you know, but just to know like that's who they were, and
yeah,
people hear Jack Kevorkian, especially here in Michigan, you're like Dr. Death. Like all the guy was trying to help people that were terminally ill, and
yeah, I remember that. It was like that was like a big to do. He was always on like 2020 in Dateline. It was such a crazy.
Because he created the machines.
Yeah.
And he didn't let anyone do it. These were people terminally ill that were suffering.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had to press the button and everything. He just had the machine.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, hey, you know what? This guy's actually allowing them to make their decision.
Whatever happened with all that stuff? Wasn't he like on trial for a while? Because I was really young.
He had him going to jail. He was old. He had him going to jail. I know he wouldn't eat for like 30 days, or he pretty much went starvation. But he was already like
strike kind of deal.
He was on his way out. I mean, he was old.
Yeah.
But no, I love the musician stuff, and you know, it's kind of like what I was asking you earlier about. Like, you were always looking at toys designing. I'll talk to my buddy who toured all over the world. You know, he was the singer for Dire Life's Sake. I had no idea who they were. But I'll be like, oh yeah, this sounds like so and so, and he's like, oh no, the guitar is different. I was like, you can hear that? He's like, yeah. So when you talk to a musician about music, they hear it completely different.
Oh yeah,
it's like you looking at the art, like looking at like your art and everything. You're seeing something completely different. Where I'm just like, I just want to do a T-pose. That's all I want.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I remember when we would. I've never thought about it like that, and that's true. Like when you get in the weeds of something, you just start seeing it differently, right? Like when you're a creator of it. Like I remember how intense my brother was with our sound. Everything was about the particular way that it would sound, like the amount of gain, the distortion, whatever. And after a while, I was starting to hear, because I was the singer, so like they were the musicians. I was just the idiot hardcore kid in the front. But and the same thing with my art, like even before action figure design, like you start seeing we call tangent, like in a character design or graphic design has a tangent. You see them differently than other people see them, because it's broken flow, and it's like I think there's like studies on it of like artists and musicians when they get into the flow of like when like something is like the composition just starts working.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a thing, and I've never looked at it from like at one time in my life when I was doing music stuff to now when it's predominantly the visual arts of like, there's definitely correlation between the two of like there's a flow of
and again, like, because you're like someone looks at skateboarding and they go, that's crazy, and I'm like completely breaking it down. You know, I'm like, I'm looking at how his feet are and everything, and then I watch skateboarding. When I can't figure it out, I'm like, how does someone that just sees a board flipping around, if I'm looking at it going, what the hell did he just do? And actually like 4 or 5 times, and I'm like,
that's when you know somebody's.
What is this?
Yeah, like they're like when somebody a peer looks at it, it's like, how did you just do that? That's somebody who's on another level.
Yeah. You know? So the band thing, we're gonna talk about the band later on, maybe when we get done with this, or believe me, I'm gonna look up Commonwealth.
Right? Common ground. I should have kept that. I should have just left it as Commonwealth, and you would never found it.
Commonwealth is The Walking Dead. Common Ground. I love the name. I love it. It reminds me of like Comeback Kid, or like just.
Dude, I love Comeback Kid. Comeback Kid is awesome.
I saw them open up for Sick of It All for the 25th anniversary. I think
Sick
Sick
of
of
It
It
All
All.
still plays?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
So
Sick of
okay,
It.
so we're getting again a little off topic. I
Yeah.
almost wore the Sick of It All shirt today.
Sweet.
So okay, so people ask me all the time, like, your name a punk with toys? Is it because you're like a punk with toys, or is it because you're a punk rocker? I'm like, what's kind of a play on words? I am a punk rocker. But
Cool.
the music that I use is I have like a 10-second intro.
Yeah.
And every time I do a review, is Sick of It All. And it's G.I. Joe Head Stomp. Because when I started doing them, I was like, well, I'll just put G.I. Joe Head Stomp. I'm only going to be like talking about G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
So I realized I used to do like a 30-second intro. Then I realized like you get demonetized. Now I wasn't monetized
I
at
see
the
how that
beginning. Not to mention no one wants to watch 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like you got to get to it. You got to get
8
to
to
the
10 seconds, it's good. You know who I am. You can see what figure I'm going to do. But it's, and I'm going to say no one, but a few people, more than a few, have like, oh, Sick of It All, or they see me with the Madball shirt, and they're like, oh, he's like, I tuned in to see this G.I. Joe review, and you got a Madball shirt. He's like, I'm subscribing right now. I'm like, sweet, like.
That's cool. It's funny when you say Sick of It All. I haven't listened to Sick of It All in probably 10 years, maybe more. I'm gonna go into Spotify and download a bunch of Sick of It All.
It's my favorite band of all time.
They were awesome. Remember when I first? They're New York. They're from New York hardcore. If I'm correct.
They are New York hardcore. They are.
Yeah. More screamy, like that, like hot, like on the top of your lungs screaming.
Oh yeah. And Lou, the singer. I mean, I saw him last year. The same energy as when I saw them. It was my first show the first concert I ever went to was Biohazard and Sick of It All in Detroit in 1993.
Wrong side of the tracks, man.
Yeah. And to top that off, that day before it, we saw Army of Darkness in the movie theater. Then we went and saw Biohazard and Sick of It All in Detroit.
That's awesome. That's a great weekend.
And that was just one day.
Oh my God. That's a day.
And the last time Sick of It All played here, like I quickly like talked to him after. I'm like, man, I saw you guys for the first time like in 93, and he goes, because that was the Biohazard tour. I was like, yeah, dude, like he fully remembered. Like,
that's awesome, man. That was probably a big tour for them back then, right? Because Biohazard was the big like mainstreamy hardcore band.
Well, Biohazard opened up for him.
Oh, really? Oh, so it was like flip-flopped at the time.
Well, Sick of It All is bigger now.
Yeah.
Now that Evan has come back to Biohazard, so
that's
they do
right.
have Evan is back. He stopped doing porn. I don't know if he stopped doing porn, but he got out of his metal thing and came back to Biohazard. Where he did rap for a while too.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Which they always had that vibe to them. They always like did the rap thing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Before it was like big.
That was my intro into my first like concert I ever really saw. In Detroit, in Detroit, at still my favorite venue of all time, St. Andrews Hall. Like
that's cool, and he remembered the tour.
Oh, dude, I remember like it was yesterday.
And Army of Darkness was in there.
And Army of Darkness, because we had a half day of school. In Army of Darkness, we went and saw it.
The amount. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, we're from Michigan, so Bruce Campbell is from Michigan, Royal Oak.
Right.
Sam Raimi is from, they were best friends growing up. They went to school, all from like Royal Oak and everything. So and we knew all about Evil Dead. Yeah. So Army of Darkness comes out, which is still my favorite.
Oh,
a matter of fact, we're doing Rad this Thursday, and then the next Thursday this will air, and then the following Thursday, Matthew and I discussed it. We're going to do Evil Dead 2.
Oh yeah. Those were so funny when I first saw that. It confused the hell out of me because Evil Dead 2 is a remake of Evil Dead 1, but kind of a sequel.
Yes, it's more of just a remake, but
yeah. Which one is when the green blood comes out of all the taxiderm? That's 2, right?
Yes.
Oh my God, dude, those movies.
Just so much fun.
So good. It's funny when we were recording, because we do have some songs that we recorded years ago. I would watch The Thing, Evil Dead, and Army of Darkness, because as a singer, like you're waiting for them to record,
Yeah.
So all the music has to get done first. So I'm just kind of like hanging out. It was we were at a recording studio in Brooklyn. It was awesome. It was like this kind of hole in the wall. The guy lived it, right? Like, and he just like, hey man, I got some. It was in Brooklyn. He's like, I got some movies if you want. He's like, his horror genre was sick, so I just watched horror movies while they recorded. My brother's a perfectionist, so like, it was a long time, a lot of takes, but it was worth it because I think I watched the thing like 5 or 6 times. The movie's so good.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah,
so awesome.
it was a good time.
See, this is this is why we end up going so long.
Yeah.
Because
So
again, like it's listen, it's not about what like it's about you and other things and like listen, I don't think anyone knows this about you, and I think it's absolutely awesome.
yeah, it's
Now
kind
you're like
of
a real person to us now.
yeah, yeah. Not just not just the
Before
plastic.
you were just a robot that made GI Joes for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna so you get out of school. You said you go and intern for Fisher Price.
Yep, that was cool. It's up in Buffalo or East Aurora.
Okay.
It was funny too because up there, the one thing I specifically remember, they'd always say like they have an accent. I remember the accent that they had up there, and they would always say this is the birthplace of the buffalo wing. And then if you go to Buffalo, because they're not so far from each other, they would say that's the home of the buffalo wing, hence the name. So like they were like it was like this kind of like dispute between the two towns who invented the buffalo wing, which I thought was always adorable to me. And that was a cool job. I really liked it. I worked on Imaginext, which
Okay.
was that's such a cool line. Oh my god, I
My
love that
kids
line.
had a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, like all the my first project was to redesign the Red Dragon, and they ran that Red Dragon for years. That Red Dragon, he would be redesigned and updated a little bit. It was the one with the trigger in it, and his wings would come out, and he had the big yellow wings.
Okay.
Such a cool toy, and I love if you know anything, I love Dungeons and Dragons, and I love Lord of the Rings. We used to play MERP, which is the Lord of the Rings version of Dungeons and Dragons, which we could get into in a little bit.
Wow.
So like being able to work on Imaginext and all the knights and stuff, like I was like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever. So yeah, that was super fun. I met one of my best friends working there. I was his intern, and what a good time that was. And so that's about a couple of like 2 or 3 months is our internships usually in the FIT program.
Okay.
And I came back to finish the program, and there was an opportunity at Hasbro, and they were like they're looking for an action figure designer. And in my portfolio, I happen to have what were they called? I made a street fighting inspired line of bunnies, and they were like Street Fighter bunnies. So like there was like a Muay Thai bunny, there was a big jacked wrestler bunny, there was like a Chung Li style bunny, and they were all like anthropomorphic, but at the same time anatomically correct. Like I didn't like humanize them too much, but their bodies were anthropomorphized, but like their faces had all the anatomy of like a bunny. So they looked like I tried to make them look a little creepy. I wanted them to look a little creepy. But I had done that action figure line, and then in my portfolio I had I obviously loved Ninja Turtles, so I had like this like gorilla who was a commando dude. It was like a packaging project. I made it like bananas, and the camouflage pattern was bananas. So then that was my portfolio. So then I think that helped me with getting into the Hasbro job because my chairperson was like, "You need to go to Hasbro. You're an action figure designer." I was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah,
You've
that's where
done
you
Little
go."
People though. The Little People line, or was it the Little People? Do you
Oh,
remember
at
that?
Fisher Price.
Yeah, well, not Little People. What was the Was it Adventure People? The little five
Oh, you're talking
POA.
about Fisher Price. What did they look like?
They had like swimmers and had a boat. The boat got used for GI Joe
Oh, and
figures.
they were all like kind of like jacked hero looking.
No, they were just like they were around. They were around the Star Wars time, maybe 77.
Oh, little people. Yeah, little people. That's Mattel, right? Am I having a brain fart?
Yeah, no, yeah, Little People was Mattel. That's
Yeah.
this is they're Fisher Price. I want to say
Hmm.
maybe Adventure People,
Okay.
but people talk about how much they love them. They had like a helicopter and a plane. They were all
Yeah.
5 points of articulation. I had a boat and it had like two swimmers in like yellow outfits, but
Yeah.
that boat got used for GI Joe so well. It floated and it had like a wheel on the bottom.
I think I remember what you're saying. I think I recall this, but it's like escaping me. Maybe because all in the midst of all the
Yeah.
conversation.
If we were live, then someone would be correcting me.
Yeah.
They'll be correcting me anyway when I'm watching it and going like, all right, yeah, thank you.
But I think those experiences helped me get to into Hasbro, because my chairperson at the time was like, you worked at Fisher Price, you worked on an Imagine X line, which is like it's very action figure-y.
Yeah.
Kind of like led the way essentially.
So you didn't intern at Hasbro. You got hired right in, or
And at the time it was a lot of intern. You would have to do an internship for a little bit, and then if there was an opportunity, you would apply for a full-time job. I happened to get lucky where there was a full-time position open. It was what was called an associate level designer. So it's just under a product designer, and they teach you there to be a product designer. So like you do about like a year or two as an associate product designer, and you're doing like a step up from I should probably put it more is expected out of you than out of an intern.
okay.
So you do that for about a year and a half, and then you hopefully get promoted, or you get to keep your job. So if you're worth keeping, I guess. But yeah, that was really cool. I worked on Marvel. I came in for the Spider-Man brand during movie 3. So we were doing a lot of slime stuff, which was really cool. A lot of
But you came in for what now?
Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a lot of like these cool like black ooze mechanisms that would like coat the figure in black slime. And then that kind of developed into like little play sets where like slime would like droop onto figures and stuff like that. So a lot of Spider-Man when I first joined Hasbro. Like I think I was on for 3 years. A lot of Spider-Man, a lot of web lines. A lot of web lines. Super fun. I love Spider-Man. It was cool. I didn't want to leave it when I got moved to another brand. I was falling in love with it. I have a tendency to fall in love with the things I'm working on.
So you worked on Marvel, Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So how do you move within Hasbro? Like,
so I don't know if it's still the case, it seems, but I think at the time, the way my development track was, I came in on Marvel and I worked on Spider-Man for a very long time, about 2-3 years. Well, that's not a very long time, but then I had when we got the Legends license, I started doing some Legends figures. I did a Juggernaut figure back in the day. It was super fun to do. One of my favorite figures I ever did was it was the Venom Scorpion figure with the Venom figure with the giant scorpion tail coming out, and he's all like the scorpion tail is made out of symbiote. So I got to do a lot of Legends too, which was super fun when it was like when Hasbro just got it. And at the time, they kind of pay attention to what you are good at and what you excel at and what you can contribute the most doing. So my track was Spider-Man Kid. Then I got put on some Legends stuff, not a lot, but a good amount where like I got a lot of action figure, like more collector action figure training. And I did the Spider-Man version, the Spider-Man portion of Legends at the time. But then I got moved to Transformers, which I didn't want to go because I was falling in love with everything. But then when I got to Transformers, I spent 12 years on Transformers.
So before you go too far, let me ask you, did you work on Iron Man at all? The Iron Man movie?
I don't think I did. I'm trying to remember Iron Man figures that I did. I think I can't remember. It's like almost 17 years ago.
Hold on. I got to grab something really quick here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So this Iron Man figure is it says Mark III.
Yeah. I think it's a Dwight figure.
Is it Dwight's figure?
I believe so. Because the early Marvel Legends was always Dwight and a couple other guys that I can't remember exactly what was on the time. But I don't remember working on Iron Man at all.
This figure, I've never seen a kid like my son love a figure more than this figure.
That's awesome.
I have like on like Facebook. just parts of them because I would have to fix them. And I'm like, and these pins don't. I mean, these ones are not easy to
Yeah,
replace.
back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, I'm peeling stuff. My ex and I were together. She's like, the leg on the Iron Man broke, and it broke because he would play with it so much.
Yeah, because of love put into it. Yeah,
he's still. And I said I will always have one of these figures no matter what. But when his mom and I split up, I bought an extra one for her house. I have an extra one here because he was still kind of young at the time, and I was like, there'll always be one just in case. But he never stopped. I think he still messes around with the other one, and it's like in pieces. There's like a leg missing. And
yeah.
so I pulled this one out and I just put it behind my stuff.
Yeah.
But I've never seen a kid, and I'm not talking about like how much I love G.I. Joe. One figure. I've never seen a kid play with one figure for 10 plus years. And that's like every now and then on Facebook, it pops up like the anniversary where like I took a picture of like probably 5 of them all in pieces.
Yeah.
And like the things you have to do.
Yeah, the things you do for your kids.
so this is a Dwight figure. So I should say
I think so. I can ask him next time I'm in the office. I'll definitely ask him. Can I put him closer to the camera?
It's the Mark III.
The Mark III
from the movie.
Yeah, that's when we were starting to figure out Candy Coat. I remember that when we were starting to get better at it. Yeah, I'll mention to him. I'll mention the joy that it brought your son, man. That's very cool.
A matter of fact, the other day I was in not the other day, but a few months ago, I was in Secondhand Charles. I don't know if you have those.
No.
They sell books and everything, but they also sell like toys, and you know, they try and mark it up at like what they see it. Like, I just happened to walk in there, and this figure was on card for like $30. And I looked it online. I probably could have ordered it. I probably could have got on eBay, I think, for like 26 or 27. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying this. And I gave it to him for his birthday. Yeah. He kind of looked at it and he's like, oh my God. I'm like, he's like, I'm not going to open this. I'm like, good, because I hope you won't.
You have 5 other ones that are open. You keep that one. Don't let that one breathe. Keep that. But
I was just wondering, like, I'm like, what if he worked on this one? That would be really cool.
Oh yeah, I think that's a Dwight one. I'll the Mach 3. I'll mention it because that was, how long ago was that? 15 years ago? 13 years ago?
Oh man. Well, Iron Man came out in 08.
Yeah.
So it would have been shortly after that. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah. The Iron Man stuff was cool too. I remember when Iron Man blew up, man. That was a really
that cool movie is still so good. Funny thing about that, like my son he was in preschool, and he would imitate, like he knew the movie by heart, like he would imitate it. But at the beginning of the DVD, before you would hit play, it would like spin around and it made a noise, and he would imitate all that. And his preschool teacher had never seen the movie, but he would always talk about it and imitate it.
Yeah.
And one day, the preschool teacher tells his mom, says, I've never seen the movie, and I watched it this weekend, and I felt like she said, I felt like I'd watched it so many times. Because I didn't realize how much he had imitated it to a T. You know, and it's like, you know, it was, he would imitate all kinds of stuff. It was awesome. Yeah. So
that's cool. That's a great memory. I love that. That's cool.
And again, these are the off topic things that we get into.
It's great
when you're talking to me. Squirrel.
That's awesome. Right, so, hearing that. Yeah.
So you were getting into the Transformers, which you said you didn't want to, but then you started going.
Yeah, because as a kid, I wasn't super into. I didn't have a lot of Transformers. So I was like, I don't know. I know Marvel better, and I always secretly wanted to be on Joe. I was like, can I get on Joe? And there was not an opening at the time, so I had to wait. But then I worked on Transformers for a long time. I worked on a lot of lines for Transformers. I came in at the end of movie 2. So movie 3 was the first movie that I got to have a lot of design work on. The time it was a lot of Generations I had come in on. I think I was working on Deluxe. So the way we would break it up is we would break up Deluxe, Voyager, Leader, and Supreme, I believe at the time, between different designers. And you would take a segment of the universe and you would focus on that scale. And I think I was doing deluxe when it came in. But yeah, so movie 3 stuff, and we had Cyberverse, which was super cool. The 4-inch and the 2-inch figures, and then we had vehicles and the Ark, was super fun. I didn't work on that. My friend Joe worked on that. Really talented designer. Then I worked on Cyberverse for it was Prime, Transformers Prime. I did a lot of design work on Transformers Prime. Love that line. I love that look too, that like sharp look that they had. So yeah, worked on a lot of Prime, did a lot of Generations for Prime, and then we got into the Beast Hunter stuff. It was fun. So it was like dragons and Transformers. And we're like, what would a robot Beast Hunter look like? We're like, what would robot barbarians look like? And that was fun too, because we did my boss at the time, he's like, let's just get together and kit bash a bunch of Transformers. So we got a bunch of this like bins of parts of all these like different cool shapes and action figure parts. We just started gluing them. I did a Wheeljack figure, I remember, and I put these giant wings on him and a lance. And it's like he's like an angel version of him. It never made it to the figure line, but that's how we came up with this whole idea of they're all armored up. So the Transformers or Autobots would be armored up, and all the Predacons would be like Manticores and like Griffins. I did a character named Grimwing, which was super fun. He's actually an Ursa Griff, which is a bear eagle griffin. Yeah. Fucking dork. Oh, I cursed.
We cursed a few times on this.
Oh, I did? Oh, oops.
No, we have. I have too.
Oh, that's fine, right? We just got to go burp.
I don't do that.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't care. Listen. PG back in the day, you could hit a few F-bombs and shit here and there, but
okay. But yeah, so we did all that stuff, which was super fun because it was super creative, right? It wasn't like the IP was at the time they were doing Beast Hunters, and it was Predaking was coming in, and he was like the big bad. But then we kind of took it and then we added to the toy line. So there wasn't a whole lot of beasts in the IP, but then in the toy line, or I should say in the cartoon, but in the toy line we kind of embellished, kind of like what we did for movie 4 too. Like we had the main Dinobots, but then we added other dino like raptors and stuff like that, because we just know that a raptor transformer is awesome. So we started putting stuff like that in there too. So it could kind of like add a little bit more to it, like embellish on it, right? So nice. I'm tangenting now, I think.
Listen, this is what I love hearing.
Yeah.
So how long were you at Transformers, and where'd you go from there?
So from Transformers, I did Transformers for a while. I did it up to movie 5, and then
I'm sorry,
I went on to did Furby.
You know what?
I worked on Furby, which was super cool. Yeah, I wanted to do something different. I'm like, I want to try something else out. So there was a design at the time. I was a design manager. I was looking for design manager position. I'm a principal designer now, so I focus on product. So I wanted to do something different. I hadn't done a lot of animatronic, so I was like, I want to learn how to do animatronic design. So the Furby team had an opening, and it was for the Furby Connect product. So I got to work on Furby Connect and Furbaka. So Furbaka was my project, which was super fun.
Furbaka.
So it was Furby cosplaying as Chewbacca.
I have no clue.
Look him up. He's crazy looking. It was super fun working with the licensors on that to get the fur right. So it's a Furby, but he's got Chewbacca hair, which is insane looking. And then I think we went with egg bandoliers. It's been a while. He's in my office, but I can't recall if his bandolier had eggs on it or if it has like the Chewbacca, whatever those things are on his bandolier.
I have no idea what's on his bandolier.
Yeah, it was a fun project because he makes the Chewbacca go, bro. I can't do the noise, but he makes he makes a Chewbacca sound, which is pretty funny, and then says like and all the crazy Furby stuff too. But yeah, that was a fun time. It was different. I'm an action figure designer, so it was like crazy learning all the programming stuff, which is a completely different.
But I think it's cool that you wanted to do something different just to get your hands in it and see what it's like. And
yeah, it's part of the craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe that would have been something you would have been like, this is what I was really meant to do.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. I learned a lot of, like, you do different teams. You learn a lot of stuff. They were very presentation focused. So I learned a lot of like presentation layout, which at the time when I was kind of like focusing on more managing, I learned presentations were very useful at the time. So I learned a lot from being on that team. It was really cool. And then a lot of the programming stuff is a whole nother animal compared to action figure design, which is a lot of control drawings, right? So it was cool, man. And I got to make a little creature, which I thought was super fun.
So after Furby, you go to.
After Furby, I did Hero Mashers. So I came over as a manager on Hero Mashers for a little bit.
Oh, my son has a lot. Well, he had a lot of those for a while.
Yeah, Mashers were cool. Mashers are a really cool line. And it was like, it's one of those just like, it's just fun to mess around. Fun labbing those were the best. Like when you take them into Fun Lab, and so Fun Lab is a testing ground for toys. And we literally get quantitative data on how people are reacting to product. And watching kids play with those is the best because they'll take a Hulk and they'll put all feet on him and they'll show their body. Like, look, he's Stinky Hulk because he's got feet all over him. And it's just like to see the joy that would happen in this exploration was really cool.
Which people have been doing with Mr. Potato Head forever.
Yeah, it's just it's like tough guy Mr. Potato Head, like superhero Mr. Potato Head, you know? So that was super fun. That was a cool line. It wound down after that. And at the time, the Transformers 5 was in development. So then they needed me to go onto Transformers again because they needed to staff up for the Transformers line. So I made my way back to Transformers for a while. Which was kind of cool. Like I'm like, oh, I'm home again, you know? So
now was the G.I. Joe line even like around then?
No. So after Transformers 5, my design director put me on germinating projects. So at the time, they're like, how can we go into the Hasbro universe and come up and like envision them for the future? What would they be for the next generation? So for G.I. Joe, which I'm like, G.I. Joe, we're going in on G.I. Joe, right? So I did a whole exploration of like, if talk about a Vault brand, the brand. We went on a full exploration on G.I. Joe for about 2 years. A lot of kid data, a lot of kid testing, fan testing, seeing what would G.I. Joe be in 2019? It would have been 2018. We were developing that stuff, I believe.
Okay.
So it's like we did a lot of like character designs of what the Joes could look like today. And we got data back and said like what we should go forward with. And we germinated that for a while. And at the same time, we were looking at other brands as well to see like what would look cool. What should we bring back? And G.I. Joe was just like, it just resonated above the rest. So that's how the G.I. Joe classified line was born. Actually, it was through just like a incubation of like, how would you re-release G.I. Joe? And what a dream project it was, man. It was just to like do like 10 to 20 designs of each character and iterations and how far you should take it, how far you shouldn't take it. How classic should it be? How classic should it not be? It was cool as a kid who grew up as like designing characters in a sketchbook to like be able to jump into that was it's kind of a dream come true. And a G.I. Joe kid on top of it, like it was awesome.
So how many people worked on the original classified line, like when it started?
It was me and another designer.
Okay.
So he's not at the company anymore, but he was awesome, amazing vehicle designer.
Okay.
And so I was focusing on character design. He was focusing on vehicle design at the time. So we were trying to figure out because G.I. Joe's a vehicle line too, right? So it's like we needed to encompass all of that together. And
that has been a huge issue with people that 6 inches too big. And I do agree. I've done videos that I have 3D printed Skyhawk, and it's like, this is big, and this was a small vehicle back in the day.
I saw that post of that thing. That thing's cool. But yeah, so that was part of it too, though, because it's like we needed to figure out, if you guys have noticed, vehicles came out later. We started with the coil because it was a bike. Hasbro makes bikes at 1/12 scale. But like as we just revealed, we mentioned the vamp. that we are doing the vamp, we needed to study to see what we could make and what we could make at an affordable price point too, right? So it's like things we have, it's got to be fair, you know what I mean, and quality at the same time. So that's why vehicles took a little longer. Of course, we did bikes to start, but like now we got to get into other types of vehicles. Like, and the HasLab is such a good opportunity to do things that wouldn't be on a retail shelf. So we got a his tank, you know. So, which is
I don't have one yet. I'm waiting for it.
I am too.
Don't say we have one yet.
I'm waiting for my 5. I went all in.
I only got one, but
thank you.
I have
Thank you very much.
2 3D printed ones. So.
Dude, I gotta say, like they're intense projects, man. They take a lot of resource, a lot of time, and they have a lot of anxiety with them. So we're very, very. I speak for the entire team. If hopefully I'm conveying this properly. Like we're very thankful when people are able to back them, right? And it's like because they're dream come true projects for us. And it gets cool things into the universes we're trying to create. So when they do fund, it's great. It's a great feeling. You feel like you did your job right. So thank you to everybody who does support it and who wants to support it, even if they can't support it. Thank you for just being there emotionally, even if you're not able to buy one as well. So hopefully that came out nice enough. But I really am appreciative of it.
I mean, I don't really want to get too much into this, but I think, like, I always say to people, hey, listen, if you can't afford a $300 toy, or you don't think that your money is worth spending on a $300 toy, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's no shame in saying, I can't afford a $300 toy. I don't have a significant other. I can pretty much, as long as my bills are paid, there's a roof over my head, my kids have everything, I can buy what I want to buy. Now, I'm running out of space. You guys need to fix that for me.
Yeah, the space issue, man.
But that Dragonfly is large.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't understand that. I'm like, hey, if you can't afford something, there's no shame in it. You can still love something. If you can't afford the Trouble Bubble because a $50 price point is too expensive, or even if you think it is, it's not a big deal. Like, that's this life. I mean, we have to make decisions, and I hope you're putting food on the table first, and you're paying, having your bills and your electric and everything. I don't know how we got there, but.
Well, I was just saying, like, I am very thankful for when people support us, and it's really cool because it really is a labor of love. So when we do see those successes, it's like it's cool, man. And
you guys knocked them out of the park.
They're coming out good. I gotta say, the Dragonfly. I think I like the Dragonfly more than the His Tank.
I thought you guys were really smart on how you did it, but watching that Hiss when it dropped, and you're watching it, and you're like, "Oh, it might fun by the end of the night," and then you're like, "Oh my God, I'm almost done with work. I'm East Coast time. Mm-hmm. It's about to fund."
Yeah, we were in awe. We didn't think that was going to happen. I was like completely shocked. Mark from HasLab, as we like to say, he doesn't like his last name to be said, did such a good job on that vehicle, man. Like, oh my goodness, it's just the details and the attention to like the tangents. There's no tangents. It's like the profile, like, and we did push the design. It's not exactly the old school His Tank. Like, it's got a longer nose. Some of the suspension's a little different, or I should say that the profile is slightly different, but it's very reminiscent of the old school design.
Yeah, you're not going to look at it and go, "Is that an Abrams tank?"
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What it is. Yeah, you know what it is.
So his meticulous work really paid off. So it going that quick was just like, it was like our heads were spinning. Like, I can't believe that happened. It was wild, and it was very cool. Very cool to see that. So I don't even know how we got into this conversation. I'm just thankful that it worked out.
I don't know, because we started talking G.I. Joe. Because I was going to ask you, when you guys started the classified line, how did you pick what figures you were going to start with? Snake Eyes, Cobra Commander, like those are given.
Yeah, we wanted to go with the characters most recognition at the end of the day. Like, kind of like, and it was real American hero characters that we were going to lean into the most, of course, because that's the most famous G.I. Joe iteration. Mm-hmm. And essentially, a lot of it is like, what's our budget? what's our item count for the year, stuff like that. And then like you have to make the hard decisions of who you're not going to make and who you're going to make. And then hopefully if a new line continues into the next year, go, oh, I'll get those characters in there that had to get cut. I'll get them into the next year sort of deal. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like budgeting, right? So like what you can afford, who you can do right with the money you have sort of deal.
That's
It's it's every day at work sort of stuff, as mundane as that sounds, but it's kind of like do what you can do with what you have, and hopefully you can do the best job you can do with what you got. And the character selections for the first wave, at least, were like, we know we're going to push the designs in a different direction, so they should be characters that are pretty much iconic to the brand.
Okay. Now, I said I wasn't going to ask stuff. I'm going to ask you one thing. You can answer if you want. Did you ever think about naming the Cobra Island roadblock Heavy Duty?
No, actually. The idea was, so I understand the Heavy Duty issue because of the handkerchief on his head. Handkerchief. I'm talking like an old man. But he's actually wearing a chef hat, like a cook, like a line cook hat. So if you look at the details, there's a little bit of a tie in the back. So my thinking was that he's going into war with his chef hat on, and he's been in Cobra Island hiding out, and that's why his beard is so long. So, and we had the way we tooled that up. We put the heads together, right? Because we were budgeting at the time. So, like my idea was, it was just him in a different costume, essentially. So it's not Heavy Duty, although I know a lot of people call him Heavy Duty.
See, now I have to go look at it, and this bothers me because, and not because you did that, but I told you earlier about I had the USS Flag as a kid.
Yep.
A couple of years ago, I'm on the internet, and I'm watching, and all of a sudden, I'm watching the thing on the flag, and they're like, yeah, and the little fuel car also plugs directly into the front of the Sky Striker, so you can tow it. And I'm like, hold on a second. 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, I should be sleeping. I'm running downstairs into my G.I. Joe room. I have to pull my Sky Striker down because I have it hung. I'm putting it on my flag. I'm like, why didn't no one tell me this 30 years ago? So now, when I get done here, I'm going to have to go downstairs. And I'm going to go look at those details on that, not Heavy Duty, on that.
The stand-in Heavy Duty that he's the stand-in Heavy Duty for the time being.
On that roadblock, and I'm going to look at those details. But that is awesome.
Yeah, it's a cook hat. It's like a line cook hat.
No one knows that. I know. No one knows that.
I know.
Not a single person that knows that till now.
Let me see if I have him. He might be in my hidden shelf with a picture in front of it because there's samples there that nobody's supposed to see, but this is my He is. No, I don't have him. that gets cycled through a lot because I keep all my samples there essentially throughout the year, and as I can like go back and reference parts and pieces and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
but now I have to go look at that. It's downstairs, so it's actually very easily accessible for me. So
there's drawers all over this office. My wife tried to organize me. If anybody knows that, I am not very organized. Hold on. So I have all these drawers. Come on. Maybe we can solve this. We could chit chat while I look for it.
Yeah, so I don't, like I said, I really didn't want to get too much into that.
Well, that's right. We're not supposed to.
Yeah, but we are talking about. So obviously with the G.I. Joe, but we kind of know what's coming. You guys are giving us so many. And if people are watching for the first time, I am 25% Italian, and that is why the arms are going like crazy. I
relate to that.
And understand this: if you're watch me for the first time, I go 3+ hours alone every Monday. So, um, so we see everything that you guys are giving us, which is awesome. For the most part, I know we don't see everything, but you give us a lot. And I know people have complained like we haven't seen Torch yet. Like, oh my god, they're gonna give us the Dreadnoughts. We get it. They're coming, dude. Like, but past GI Joe, because again, you can only talk about so much.
Mm-hmm.
What are there other toy lines that you collect? Are there companies that you collect?
Oh yeah.
I know you've already touched it. Like, you even I pulled the Plunderling down, and you're like, I love those things.
I love Plunderlings. I didn't go in on Plunderlings as much as I should have. I only have 2, so I wouldn't call that really collecting. But very much appreciate.
I got 3, and I can't because the Plunder Strongs and the Plunder Longs. I'm gonna have to eventually get at least
Plunder Long. What an amazing! I love the way they name stuff. It's so good.
But they're so because we were on. Oh yeah, because I was live yesterday because today's Tuesday. Listen, it's all messed up considering this is coming out in over a week.
Yeah.
But a couple people started bringing up the Plunderlings, and I'm like, they're just like these cute, fun figures.
Yeah,
and I love the boxes. That's why I have the box right here. Like I have this box right here. I love how they give you the ears on it, and then it has a little saying in there that's saying like, hey, play with your toys. These things were made with fun, with love.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. And,
I very much appreciate that, man, because on Joe, we want you to play with them and we want kids to play with them. Like, that's the idea. Like, it's like they're meant to be. I want you to lose them in the woods like I used to. You know what I mean?
But they are adult collectibles.
Yes, they are. They are.
Because I have that argument with people. I'm like, they are adult collectibles. Like,
yeah, but they're age graded. They are age graded. So that's something that
people
should know. They are age graded younger, and they are intended for play and for 4+ play, but they are marketed towards an older collector.
Yes.
But yeah, so Plunderlings is awesome. I love Mythic Legions, and I love now Cosmic Legions is like blowing my mind. I love it.
Do you have any of the Cosmic Legions?
I do. So I have what's his name? The Slog, the big green dude.
Oh, okay.
With the dome. I have the Slog, and I think I have does he over here? I have the 4-armed guy, which is incredible. Okay. And then I bought this dude's head is just kind of floating over here, but this guy's incredible too.
Yes.
I think he's like the antagonist of the line.
I'm not sure. Because I have 2. They're very similar. They're actually the builders, and I got them at PowerCon. Yeah, PowerCon Mythic Legions. When they do a show, they sell everything $10 cheaper than what.
Oh, cool. I got to make it to PowerCon. Every year it's there's a family event or something like that.
Supposedly it's not supposed to happen this year. I guess
really?
They got their dates wrong.
Oh, that's a bummer.
What about Joe Fest? I mean, you are a G.I. Joe.
I know. I would love to go. It's just, I think I wasn't able to go. What happened this year? I think somebody got married or something. But I do want to go. I'm waiting. So what else do I collect? I'm waiting for my Robo Skull stuff. I can't wait to
I'm waiting on too.
Good,
I'm waiting on that too. I don't know where I'm gonna put that. Am I gonna put it with my 4-inch figures, or my 1/18 figures, or am I gonna put it with?
It's so good. That was such a smart move.
To do the dual.
I told him because he and I chit chat every once in a while. Like, dude, you're a genius. It's such a good move.
There is a guy in the community that said, "Hey, you know what? If they would have made the Hiss tank where you could have pulled out you pull out the cockpit and interchange it with a 4-inch." He's like, I would have bought 5 of them. Because he's not a 6-inch
it would be to scale with 4-inch if that was the case. Because the Hiss tanks in the cartoon were bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, they were way bigger. So okay, what else? So Robo Skull, the Acid Rain line by Joy Toys.
I haven't picked up any of the Joy Toy stuff, but I've heard really good things about it for
they're cool. They are very cool. I love them. I love they got a grit to them that I love. And they feel like the designs are lived in, which I love about them. They just a lot of cool little noodly parts that you can kind of get lost in, and the details are all there, which are really great. trying to think what else. So Mythic Legions.
I know you have a gargoyle back there.
Yeah, I've been into some NECA stuff. Really cool. I'll pick and choose with stuff like that if it like really like speaks to me. Some of the turtle stuff by them as well. But not so deep. I keep that stuff in box. I don't keep a lot of toys in box, so a lot of my toys come out of box.
No, because we've all seen Toy Story, and we know how Stinky Pete was. That's what I tell everyone. I'm like, didn't you see Toy Story?
Yeah. Take them out of the box. Take them out of the box. Play with them. And then I'm loving the Beast of the Mesozoic line. That's the T-Rex up there in the Ceratopsians, which are
now,
really.
Who's that by?
That's Dave Silva. It's Beast of the Mesozoic is the line. I believe the guy who owns it is Dave. We've done work with him at Hasbro, which is really cool. Very talented sculptor, incredible. And then his Cyberzoic stuff looks awesome. I saw that it went live today, so I'm excited about that.
Oh wow!
What else? I'm trying to think. I like skulls. Those are my skull collection. That's a snapping turtle. I got an alligator. Got a monkey.
Are they toys or are they just
skulls?
Actual skulls. I love this.
My button was moving, and this is a baboon.
Wow.
I think it is. But he was moving, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" And he's trying to get rid of stuff. I was like, "I'll take that." But I love the anatomy of the skull,
Have you checked out the AWOC figures? Animal Warriors of the Kingdom?
Oh, those are cool. Yeah, those are cool. I haven't bought any yet, but I've been meaning to.
These, okay, and I don't want to disparage Hasbro or anything. These are some of the greatest figures I've ever had.
This is what I hear from a lot of people.
I have listen. There was a toy line that everyone said it's the greatest figure, the greatest line. Other people said it's the worst line ever. I'm like, how can it be? How can people say it's the worst or the greatest? It's got to be in the middle. And I bought them, and I did get into them for a while. Everyone talked about these. No one said a bad word about them. So I ordered like 3 of them.
Yeah. I
got them in hand, and everything about them, they're too sharp for kids, like the weapons.
Yeah, they wouldn't pass. Yeah.
But if you take that away, if you gave this to a kid, he's not coming back. He's not coming back in 5 minutes, and it's broken. When I pull out, like when I changed the hands, popped right out. Didn't feel like I was going to break them. Popped them right back in. They have a nice thick peg.
Oh, cool.
I don't think I had to heat any up, and I'm not against heating up figures.
Yeah,
it happens. It's part of collecting. I don't know why people are so hardcore into that. But the way they move, everything's nice and solid. Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful figures.
Yeah, I got to pick some up.
Yeah, I think they're just awesome. And they're 6-inch scale, but they're a little bit bigger than Joe's. So actually, I think at the beginning, and you'll see. Yeah,
I noticed Storm Shadow was taking one out.
Yeah, so it's actually like, I think I have a few pictures, and it's like they've like taken out like a few different Joes, like Storm Shadows on top of them, but
I just love the design language.
Big feet.
The design language with those are fantastic. Like, it's like they're not real, but they have like an angularity to them that adds an intensity to them.
Yeah.
But they still feel, it's not a realistic sculpt, but it is, they feel alive, which I think is really cool about it.
And at PowerCon they had it, but we were going through a Toy Fair on the live stream. They have this hyena that's in the next wave or one, and it looks, I'm just like, I'm getting that one, even though I'm not collecting the line. I'm getting that because it's just so awesome.
Well, hyenas are cool. Like,
it's all I think of is Ed from The Lion King.
Yeah, go crazy. It's the crazy.
He's the one that his tongue's always hanging out.
One. He's like, his eyes are looking a little red. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I might pick a couple up. Call me crazy. I might grab some.
I tell everyone, I'm like, just grab one. Like, I really do believe, like, if you see something that interests you, grab one figure. Just see if you like it, because then if you grab it and you're like, it's garbage, then you don't have you didn't go in on $500 of a line.
For me, it's for me, action figure collecting is again, I love character design, so I see it as more of art. So it's like I'm picking up a piece of art that I like. So like whether it's prints or action figures, I'm picking up, or a comic or something like that. I'm picking up something that I think is aesthetically pleasing to me. And with action figures, not only are they aesthetically pleasing, but the fun play, if you would, posing and stuff like that. So like for me, it's art collecting action figures. So I've been checking those things out for a while. I haven't grabbed one yet for some reason. But like I just like the vibe that they put out. So
Yeah,
I
like
think
I
I'll
said,
I'll
and they
bite.
have like a whole story. Like, I don't follow the story. There's a few
Mhm,
YouTubers that are big into the story,
mhm.
um, and they do like streams where they'll go over a couple of the comics and talk
Yeah,
about what's going on. Me, I don't know. I'm like, I just want a cool looking figure,
yeah, they look rad.
and
This is the white chimp with the mohawk is the main character or something.
I have him
He's cool. He's the main character, I think, because I always see him in the promotional art that pops up on my feed.
pale.
Pale. That's a cool name. Yeah, he's cool.
So he, I mean,
Yeah, he's cool.
I mean, I was just like, I saw the
Yeah.
mohawk, and I'm like, all right, I know nothing about it, but that's punk rock.
You know what it might be? I feel like they are like a lot of 80s toys. If they could do what we can do with toys today, that's what
Yeah,
they would have been. I think that's what it is about them. It's like it's fully realized what sculpts would have been in the 80s if they had the molding capabilities we have of today and the manufacturing capabilities we have today. So,
yeah, and I know like had we talked before
mhm.
we started recording, we might have brought up Master of the Universe Motu. Um,
Yeah,
you said you check them out. That you're
yeah.
kind,
I don't
Have you
have. I
checked
don't
out?
have. Hmm?
Have you checked out like the Masterverse, the 7-inch figures?
Not really. A couple of my buddies pick them up. The only Master Universe I have is I have a sideshow Skeletor. That's like my centerpiece
Okay.
in one of the rooms of a house. Luckily, my wife allows for this because she's an artist as well and appreciates this stuff too. Um, but like I have the Skeletor on top of it's like Snake Mountain or something like that. You can swap out the faces for the cartoony one or
Oh,
the realistic looking one. That's like my pride and joy. I love that thing. But that's my only Master Universe. Tony buys a lot. He's super into them. He and his son customize them and stuff too, which is super fun to do.
well, the reason why I got brought up, so
Mhm.
we'll discuss it now, is I brought up the Scare Glow and how wonderful that thing glows. But
Yeah.
I just did a short before we did this, and I actually said in the short, I'm like, I'm gonna have to yell at Lenny about this. So if anyone is wondering and they haven't seen the short or the pictures or whatever, the mole rat, which is an all new design, the zombie looking face here, and of course, I think my camera kind of blurs it out.
Yeah.
This does glow in the dark.
100%. Yep.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mentioned it to Bee's Battleground. I'm chatting with him. I'm like, you know, the thing glows in the dark? He's like, I've seen people talking about that before today too. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, it does. Like, I got home, I stuck it in front of a light, went in the bathroom, turned it off. I'm like a 5-year-old kid again, like, oh my God, look.
Well, he's got dark energon flowing through him. He's got to glow. That's
Well,
what we were thinking.
I had made a comment that, like, hey, you know what? This would be awesome if it glowed in the dark. I didn't
Yeah.
realize it did, or else
Oh,
it
yeah.
would have
Yeah.
definitely
It
been
was
one thing I
funny.
would have.
It was funny too because when we were specking it out, they are designed for a kid to play with it, but marketed to adult collectors. Everybody's like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "He's got to glow. He's got to glow dark. He's irradiated. He's got dark energon flowing through him. He's got to glow. And he's a glowing zombie." So I loved doing that. I love that kind of stuff. I love that the sculpt was really fun to work on. Like working with my sculptor rather,
It's a
doing the input
really.
for that. I want to make him look gross as possible. Like,
And I mean,
hopefully,
you guys, listen, you guys are being really sneaky by giving like 2 separate heads, so people have to buy 2 figures. I know what you guys are doing.
well, troop building, right? If, like I know, when I troop build, I want to be able to have some variation, and at the same time, too, with Joe's like, you want to be able to customize them out the box a little bit too. Like you want
Yeah,
to be able to like, what my kit out be on my figure, right? So, and with that character, the story is that they think of the mole rats as kind of like an engineer viper. So their job is to go out like a science viper, essentially. So they're out there, they're extracting. At first, we were calling them extracto vipers. That's where they come with the drill because they're taking core samples. Yeah, so I was calling them extracto vipers at first, but the name didn't clear. So we were like, and we can come up with something a little less trite. So mole rats dig. So like they're called mole rats. So essentially they're digging for energon because the idea is that Cobra Commander wants a new energy source for new weapons. And it goes wrong because it's Cobra. And Dark Energon, if you know anything about it, can turn things into zombies. In Prime, it would do that. In Prime, there's like 12 different Energon colors. The Dark Energon color.
So is the Dark Energon related to the other property that you guys own?
Transformers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I could say that. Hopefully.
So you are
yeah, no, we said that in a live. Yeah, so it's totally
okay. So you are world building with Transformers.
Yeah, it's like a light collab. And I remember presenting it to the guys, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. That's a pretty cool idea." So the Energon lives in our world, so it's kind of cool to kind of bake it in there. I mean, again, it's a military fantasy world, so adding those elements of sci-fi kind of like puts it into its own uniqueness. I feel,
I love it. And I gotta say, like the artwork that you do, I guess we're back to G.I. Joe, what we're going to talk about. This is how my streams go. We always end up back on G.I. Joe. People ask me questions like, I don't know anything, like other than I put 2 and 2 together, But I love like all the Easter eggs that you guys put in there. Even if there's stuff we're never gonna see. Like you go to the movie, like to the TV show and different things like that. And even like someone had pointed out the bike on the
shipwreck
submarine.
Yeah.
And I go, if you look at the PSA, there's a bike against a tree.
Yeah,
that was the stacks are representing the trees.
Yeah.
It's a stupid place to have your bike. But
the graphic design team, I remember when they wanted to do that, and we were like, okay. We're like, that's amazing. So when we ran with it, and they were coming up with some really cool stuff. And there's a lot of cool Easter eggs in there, and it just kind of shows everybody loves it at Hasbro, and it's kind of fun to allow. That's what I love about G.I. Joe in particular. Like everybody loves the brand, respects the brand, but then we try to give creative liberties to all of the creative groups, right? So like you don't want to stifle anybody. At the same time, we also have to be the stewards of the brand. So we make sure that everything is on brand, but we want to let creativity flow because that's when you have those innovations and breakthroughs that makes the line stand out from other lines, essentially. So it's a really fun brand to work on. I'm very excited to be doing what we're doing.
And so my buddy Action Figs, Ed, he said, tell him that we want this artwork on posters.
Dude, like that artwork is so good.
So I don't know if you can answer anything like this, but going forward, we're going to be going back to the window packaging.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still going to, can you answer are we still going to, I think you guys did this right. Other than the fact that people figure swap and we can't see.
Yeah.
And I understand why people want the windows, but I love this artwork. I love what you do here. I love this. I say in every video, I'm like, listen, there's some things I like about this stuff, other things I don't. But I'm like, if you had to do plastic free, I'm like, the Joe team did it the right way. They put care into it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So like with that, I can't speak to the new package because things are still in development, and it affects more than G.I. Joe. But when we went plastic free on G.I. Joe, it had an opportunity because it kind of played into the lore a little bit, where there's the weapon crate inside. So we were talking about how are we going to put all the accessories. Joe's come with a lot of accessories. You got to have a loadout with a Joe. We can't have a Joe without a loadout. So we figured out a way for it to play in with lore. And I think it might have been me or Warden or somebody was like, what if we do a crate that goes in the box and we could put a graphic around it and it has the character's name on it and there's a little keypad, and we like started brainstorming what it was that was housing the toy, because with all design, it's problem solving. Your job is to solve problems.
Yeah.
If you can draw how to solve the problem, that helps. If you can't, you can do dictation and stuff like that. But my job is to solve a problem, and the problem was, how do you make? Well, I'm not the packaging designer, but of
Yeah.
course I'm going to help. Like, we help our peers, and it's like the problem in that case was, how do you make a plastic-free box? And on GI Joe, the opportunity was there where, like, they have weapon caches in the military, right? So it's like it would serve the purpose of like being able to put their weapons in a box, and then when you're not using a weapon or an accessory, it can go back in the box and keep it. You can stack them and make a little battle scene with them, which is one thing I was like really excited. I was pushing on. So
if I don't ask this, Bees Battleground will yell at me.
Okay.
I point it out in every review. He points it out. So you have the 76 here,
Mhm.
the Cobra symbol,
Mhm.
but now the 76 is upside down.
Yep.
And the Range Viper's upside down.
Oh,
Like,
flip around.
So you have the handle here, right?
Yeah.
So the Range Viper would be upside down, the same with the Cobra, and it wouldn't be here.
Oh, well.
Now I don't use these, but what about what about a locker? So they stand up.
Yeah,
like this.
a locker could be cool. Yeah, a locker could be
I'm giving these ideas are free.
Thank you.
No, I do want to say, like, I think you guys did it wonderful, and I would hate to lose this. I mean, I know you gotta have a window, but I hope you guys would find a way to still incorporate all of this. I mention all the time, I love the height of the actual figure.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It makes me think video game for some reason. Actually,
Yeah.
the inner, I call them the coffins. The coffin art is just like, and the side panel art is just like,
Yes,
I want this video game, and I want this T-shirt. Like,
yeah. So that coffin art, Ed wants it. He's like, make sure you tell Lenny. I only told a few people that I was going to be talking to you.
yeah,
If it didn't happen or whatever, but and everyone that I talked to that knows, they're close with me, you know.
yeah.
And I'm like, I will make sure I mention that because, you know, again, I know there's all this changing, and I definitely want to make sure. Not make sure. I hope that what is good stays good.
Yeah, and I think part of what we, again, like as a designer, whether you're a graphic designer, whether you're a product designer, whether you're a car designer, whether you're a doorknob designer, your job is to solve a problem. So a doorknob designer, how do I make this door open? Right? And like with as little struggle as possible. There's going to be struggle. And in the beta version, it's not going to be good as the omega version, right? So like in design, it's evolution, and it's like, how can you improve upon the last design? So they are working hard and diligently of figuring out, how do you take the best elements from where we got to this next initiative, because what presents the product the best, and what looks the best, and then what is most utility, essentially, at the end of the day. So it's just, again, it's that like brass tacks design, what is going to be the best for the product at the end of the day, so that the user's experience is good.
So we'll close it up because I know you said, I told you, like, hey, we get
We're going.
I know.
I was like, I probably should get to bed early, but it's fine.
Yes, I don't sleep, so like to me, it's like whatever. But I know you need to go to sleep. It sounds like the GI Joe line, as of now, looks like it's going to be going on for quite some time.
Hopefully, that'd be great.
I mean, that is the idea.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can hint at down the road?
I don't know. You know, we got to be cautious about like what we can say and what we can't say. For me, I would like to get to eventually, this is kind of like a lame answer, I would like to get to as many iterations of Joe there's been, and then make new stuff as well. So, like, how do we get Sigma 6 into the line? What would Sigma 6 look like in the classified universe? what would some like we just showed everybody Metalhead. We're getting some of the Deke cartoon characters in there as well. So it's like, how can we get other? I would love to get to a lot of those classics and maybe figures we wouldn't have thought about, and then bring new things in like the mole rats, right, to expand the lore.
And I love that. And I said this on the stream. I'm like, okay, Metalhead is a stupid figure, but when you watch how that like they understand, like he's so outlandishly stupid that he's awesome, and I'm like, that just makes me want him because it's like, yeah, because like the way you did it and like the way you're explaining it and like putting the helmet on him so he doesn't blast his head off. He's like, you shoot rockets off, like.
Yeah, that was fun too. Like that was fun to design. You don't see it in the render reveal, but like the connection of his back to the I guess bazooka backpack you would call it. I'm not quite sure what to call it. I'm not sure what Mark finally decided. We have another Mark who was our copywriter, what we actually got to clear. But his weapon array backpack on his vest, there's a coupling of the sculpture coupling on the back. Looks like it's a bunch of gears, and those plug into how we normally have a post in the back of our backpacks.
Yeah.
There's two other gears that are about as long as a post, and that goes in. So it's three connections into the back of the backpack. So my thinking is that he's wearing a particular web gear, military like tack gear that has the servos and electronics built into the vest that then connect to that backpack, and that's how it all works, essentially. So it's all aesthetic. Nothing is actually gizmos, but like that's the fun part about Joe. It's like, how do you make the fantasy thing feel real, and how do you make it plausible? Like, what would a movie production designer do when coming up with like how the engineers in Prometheus look? How do you make that believable, right? Like whenever you're coming up with a good story or a good character, it's like, how do you make people believe that exists? And that's what was so fun about like Metalhead and characters like that, and even the Range Viper, right? Like it's like, how do you make it like, yeah,
that one's growing on me.
I love Range Viper. It's my favorite.
Because I was out of G.I. Joe. I mean, I was skateboarding when that came out.
Yeah.
I looked at it. I'm like, it looks fine. I'm glad you guys explained that it's a helmet that he's wearing. It's not his brain. I got two of them, and they've been sitting here. And I come sit down at my desk, and I'm like, I really like that figure. And I didn't think that I was like, it looks fine. But more I look at him, I'm like, I'm glad I have two of them.
He's metal as hell, that figure.
Yes.
Well, that figure too, the original figure, the skull was stylized.
Yeah.
So when we approached it, I wanted to make it more anatomically correct, which I knew would make it look more imposing, make it scarier. And the whole idea of them being like these like shock troops that have been, I think, if I remember correctly, Range Vipers have been banished to like serve in the field. And like it says on the file card, they eat snakes, stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of figure that out to make it feel a little more believable, and then making it look more scary. And what's also cool about them too is it's a sensory network that they're wearing. So that helmet, that brain is actually like, I believe it's some sort of sonar system that they use that connects to the visor in their eyes to help them range on the range. So, and it's done in Cobra fashion. So make it look badass. Make it a skull. So that's what they were thinking back in the day. I was just embellishing on it with the aesthetic. So
have you thought about, and I don't know if you have any control over this. This is another complaint that people have had, but the file cards. And I understand not actually putting file cards on there, but the QR code leading to the actual file cards. Because from what I understand, the QR code now just leads to a dead site.
Yeah, that's what I'm aware of that. It's out of my wheelhouse.
But even if the file cards were just there, even if the file cards were just there, so
I would love that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think file cards come up a lot at work because we know how much it is ingrained in the universe. Like it's how I would pick my figures when I was a kid. So it's something that comes up a lot. And again, it's design. It's all about the solves. Like how are you going to solve it? How are you going to solve it?
But I'm not going to complain too much. I'm really happy with everything that we have.
Thank you.
Like I said, I didn't really want to get too much into G.I. Joe because I know there's only so much that you can talk about.
Yeah.
So one last question, and then I will let you go. And
Cool.
I think you guys already answered this. Were we getting a retro Cobra Commander? Not in the...
I cannot speak to future figures.
No, but I'm sorry. I thought that it was announced. So I was asking. I thought that you guys had already said that we were getting a retro style Cobra Commander. That's why I'm asking.
In the his tank.
Well, other than in the his tank. That's why I was just wondering.
No, I don't think there's any announcements on anything like that. Okay. I can't recall.
Because I thought there was, and because I'm not asking you to really reveal anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that you guys had announced it. But maybe what I had heard was someone was mixing up.
No, not at this time.
With his tank.
Yeah, not at this time.
Okay. Because I remember you did a bunch of those retro announcements.
Yeah.
And that's why I was surprised when Rakondo showed up, and I was like, I thought.
Yeah, I can't wait to show people those packages. So we're starting to get, the way it works is we're starting to get the samples in box, but they're not ready for photography yet.
Okay.
They're coming out awesome. I mean, I'm patting myself on the back by saying that, but
that's fine.
I'm very pleased with how they're coming along. They're coming along very well, and I just can't wait to do the digital reveals are great because we get to give you guys a sneak peek of it. Yeah. But I love the photography reveals. I feel like that's like,
believe me, everyone is super excited when they get to see it in hand.
Yeah, Matt does our photographer he was at PulseCon. You guys got to meet him. He does an amazing job. Like, it's crazy. Like, I just kind of give him an explanation of the character and he goes, and it's like, I've been in other shoots where you really have to be there as the designer to make sure all the parts and pieces in the right spot, especially when I was on Transformers. Like,
is Matt shooting the Galaxy?
Yep.
Amazing. I follow him on Instagram. And whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, Joe, like everything that you see him do, you're like,
you could see the passion and the artistry in it. And like whenever he's shooting, he basically, we work on a like an office communication system. Oh, my cat is here, so you're probably seeing all of his fur flying around. I was just petting him. But like, he'll shoot me images that he's doing during the day. Right, because I got to do my job. I can't be there all day long. But like, it's just like the amazing stuff he sends you throughout the course of the day. It's just I love photo shoot day because it's like Matt's like, check this out. And, like, we're checking out, like, well, the straps need to come down a little more, or the drop hip is exposed, so you have to bring the figure down a little bit so the drop hip isn't so exposed. He's not articulated right, so you got to fix it a little bit. But with Matt, like, hardly ever. It's usually just like, here you go. And you're like, oh my God, you're amazing. You made my babies look great. So.
I'll say this. I mean, I was going to order them because I've ordered every figure. I've reviewed every figure. I own every figure that's come out yet. The Steel Core, I wasn't feeling it. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the Dragonfly pictures, and I'm like, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, Matt's a beast. The picture of Wild Bill and handing Wild Bill's sunglasses to him.
Yes.
That's my favorite one.
I looked at him like, all right, I really want these. They look better than, and I think they came out better. Personally, I like the grunt head better for some reason, but.
Yeah, they are different. I'm glad you noticed that. We did there's a little bit of different anatomy on the hard surface design. We wanted to be slightly different from each other.
I like the grunt one, who is an army builder. Just cover up the graves.
For those listening, just white out his last name a little bit, and you're good.
And if you were sharp on it, you could have got him all you could have got him a bunch of them for $12.
I saw that. That was pretty crazy.
I know. Man, I'm telling you, they were just getting bought up like crazy. So
yeah.
I'm gonna wrap it up and let you go because you said 2 hours. You gave me. I don't even think you said 2 hours. You said 10, which really would have been like an hour and a half.
I said 9:30, but that's cool, man.
Well, right now people have no idea what time it actually is because this starts normally.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah.
They'll be seeing us in the future.
Yeah. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I wasn't going to get into things that I knew you couldn't talk about.
Yeah.
the format of this is get to know you, and I think a lot of people did. We know you got a band, well, you had a band. You worked in a graveyard. I'm just so stuck on this band thing. Like,
It was fun. It was fun.
you had, I could see the passion. Like, that's what was awesome. And I could definitely see your passion. Like,
Well, thank you.
you enjoy doing it, and that's the type
The
of stuff I
arts.
love hearing.
Don't ask me to do math.
Did you say math or mask?
Math.
Okay.
Mask. The amount of times I get asked about mask is crazy. It's wild.
That's kind of why I brought it up, because it sounded so close that mask.
Yeah, it comes up a lot, dude. Comic-Con, people ask about it. Like,
People want it.
yeah, it's cool. It's a cool line. Those helmets
awesome.
are sick to design.
It's awesome, especially when you look back at the original one, and I remember having it. It's like they were smaller than Joe's, so all those vehicles fit perfect. I couldn't even imagine if they were in scale with the O-rings back then.
Oh yeah, it would be cool. Are they the size of Dino Riders, if I remember correctly?
I don't remember Dino Riders. They were like
a 2-inch, 2.5 scale, 2.5.
2.5, I think.
Yeah. They had to ride the vehicles. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could fit so many vehicles, and they were easy to take places. And
I think I was too young for Mask.
I think so. I don't think Mask was around very long, but
no, I think it was a 2-year run. The cartoon I had maybe seen a couple of times. A lot of the older designers, or designers older than me, I should say, were super into it. And I'm like, it's cool. It's cool, but it like never gripped me. I was like a Centurions. I love Centurions as a kid.
So I have a Centurion up there. I got a lot, right? I just got this big lot. I thought it was a Star Trek figure.
Oh yeah.
And then so I kept it because when I tried selling stuff off, no one wanted it.
Yeah.
And then people talking about Centurions, and I'm looking at them like, oh, wait a minute, that's that.
Yeah.
That's what that thing is.
Yes, they're sick, dude.
So anyway, is there anything else that you want to mention before we wrap this up?
Again, if I iterate, I'm very thankful to all the fans of the G.I. Joe brand and all the support that they've been giving. It's a kind of a dream come true, and to see people so excited about it, I want to just iterate that again. Like, we're very, very thankful of it, and it's awesome. And thank you, and I want to thank you for inviting me on the show. It's been pretty cool. It's been awesome. Great meeting you. I mean, we've chatted on Instagram, but it was really nice to talk to you for the first time in person.
Yeah. I feel like I know you because I've seen you on the Full Force, and I've seen you on all your other stuff, like, the live streams. But I know, that's one of those things. People feel like they know me from doing all these lives, and I feel like I know you. It is a weird dichotomy in some ways, but honestly, had we talked before we started hitting record, I would have felt like I've known you my whole life, and we were just shooting the shit, man. It was just
talking about stuff we like.
Yeah. It's funny how that works.
It's funny how that works. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I love what you're doing, man. Meeting a lot of creatives and just talking to them about what they do and like what drives people, and hopefully it inspires other people to do creative work too. I think it's the more people doing creative stuff, the better, I think.
I agree with you. So anyway, thank you very much. We're going to wrap it up. Again, by the time this is showing up, we're way in the past. But not that far in the past.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys all for watching. Lenny, thank you very much. You can find him, Weather Dominator. I didn't ask him where the Instagram name comes from, because if you don't know, then you're probably not a Joe fan.
Should probably change it to Destro. I have Cobra Commander up as my icon.
I like Weather Dominator. It's unique. No one else has. There's lots of Destros, lots of Cobra Commanders. There's no Weather Dominators.
It's true.
And since you have a Weather Dominator, I'll be asking you sometime in December and January to fix the Detroit weather. So it's not awful. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for everyone watching. I will see you guys Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Take care.